Hi, Alexis.
Plan and Zoning Commission. Start with our meeting minutes from April 23rd and April 30th. Have a motion. Let's see, hold on, where we get Commissioner Bukowski is sitting in for also Commissioner Levy. Commissioner Levy moves to second Commissioner Porcillo.
Alexis, can you hear us?
Yeah, but I would just say the Tommy is a bit faint.
She said you're a bit faint.
Okay. On your end, Commissioner Harrison, on 30 minutes.
Are the ceiling microphones on?
We think so.
Commissioner Harrison, anything for the meeting minutes?
No, they look good to me. Thank you.
Any other comments, Commissioner Harrison? Can we put this to a vote?
I can't hear anything Tommy is saying. What are we voting on?
The meeting minutes.
Meeting minutes, Commissioner Braun.
Okay.
Commissioner Braun, do you have any comments on the meeting minutes?
No, I do not.
Can we put this to a vote? All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. See 5 hands, 2 hands. So it passes unanimously. New applications to recommend a public hearing. I'll just read the first, 161 Hillside Road, special exception application of the Nest Greenfield Hill for additions and alterations to an existing building to establish a daycare use in the neighborhood design business district. Mr. West. Mr. Chairman, this is a former. Requires a public hearing. May I have a motion on behalf of the move to recommend a public hearing. Second, Commissioner Bukowski. Any questions or comments, Commissioner Harrison? Do you have your hand up remotely? Commissioner Harrison, do you have your hand up remotely?
No.
No worries. Commissioner Braun, I think I saw your hands. You're on mute.
My hand was up by mistake. My hand is not.
Okay. For a second. Yeah, Commissioner Harrison, I know it's hard, but it's an echo. I hear it too. If there's something you're not hearing, let us know, because I just don't know what else to do at this point.
Yeah, I'm just afraid I don't know how to engage in a board discussion if this is going to be the way it is tonight.
Maybe it's worth Commissioner Harrison and Commissioner Braun. Why don't the 3 of us get on a conference call?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Well, I can just call in verbally, right?
I don't know.
I'm going to try to just call in.
Please get them.
Sooner there, use the whole room if I do it.
Okay.
Alexis, you there?
Yep, I'm there. All right.
Welcome to WebEx.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Oh. Okay. I've got 3 devices going. Let me turn this one on. Okay, Tommy. I gotta find a way to do this device. I'll just turn the volume down.
Mute your computers there.
I can hear you. I can hear you on my conference call on the cell, yeah. So I'll turn off all my other volumes.
Yeah, I think turning your volume up would make sense.
So you're doing the volume through there then? Okay. All right, so plug in here. This has been on. Okay, oh.
Kathy, Alexis,
Yes.
It is like now just so you're,
Kathy, you gotta mute your computer.
I can hear you good. Oh, muted, okay.
Yeah, Kathy, on your computer mute, not the phone.
Yeah, it's muted. It's muted. I'm trying to turn off my other device, but I'm having trouble. I'll just turn the whole thing on. It's muted. Everything's muted that I have. Oh, this one. It's ridiculous.
I don't know which one is which for hers.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
I muted my 3rd device.
Still see her. Still see her computer. Computer not muted.
My computer's muted.
Kathy, you have a video on. Whatever that device is.
I don't think that's what's echoing though.
That's muted. That device is muted.
Kathy, how about turning the speakers off the computer?
No, she's fine. She's not the one echoing.
I think this is a better echo.
I can't turn the little
No, you're fine, Kathy. Don't worry about it.
microphone button. I can't find a way to turn off. Let's see.
All right, Kathy, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good. I turned the volume down on my computer.
You are fast,
I can't.
Much less than it was.
Recording. Nope. I think we turned that off.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess.
I don't think so. We've been using WebEx to web through the agenda. I'm not sure if they can switch it. Which I would like to somehow, but.
Cat. Okay.
What happens when you press that button at the bottom right there? I mean, the button, it's the one that's on the,
On the screen?
yeah.
See, I don't. Oh, there you are.
Okay, click the window. Doesn't come up.
Next one.
No, he did. Well,
Right, yeah. Hover over the mouse over it. Close everything. Close all windows. Try to go back in. I think that's probably a 2 of them. Close that one. Okay. Did you right click that one, Jim? Don't have a mouse. Be over the mouse.
Here, do you want this one? But the HDMI is plugged in, so it's.
Put that one on entirely so that.
restore it. Right click.
It is.
Over on the other side.
Like that.
With the recording. I thought like you must for this, don't you? You will vote. I like it. They like to kind of have the spot. They like staying home and moving here. Sorry. You know, there's an aspect of beauty. They like it because they can see their windows, they can see the people, their faces, and opposed to us. So there's something, but it's so much harder to. I agree. No, I know it.
Hi, Dave. Here, I'm gonna. Ah. Here, it's Dave.
Go over there on their thing. It's showing up.
That's just. Yeah.
It's troubleshooting.
Yeah. Our IT person is on the phone. So.
Yeah, the Himalaya's left up.
Does he want me to log out?
What's that?
Is that the old,
Can you hear
bank
that?
office or?
Chase Bank,
The old Chase Bank.
diagonally across from the vet.
Yeah, I can hear.
So there's no construction occurring there?
Not that I'm aware of. Okay.
Not that I've seen, I
Go
drive by
past
there.
there, I go past it all the time on my bike, so. It looks like there's a permit in the window. And there's cars there frequently. There's no construction occurring there. Okay.
All right, can we put this to a vote? All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hands. I see 7 hands. I don't know, I just put mine on
I
mute.
think you just put your volume.
I'm down on my phone. So can you hear me now on the computer?
I can hear you on my computer, Kathy.
Very faintly.
Background noise. Can you hear me on the computer? Oh, I've muted. Wait a minute. It's muted.
You just
Okay,
have
can
to
you hear
speak
me?
up, you're a little faint on our end.
Can you hear me now?
It's your computer that's not working.
Yes,
Okay, so I'll turn off my phone then, right?
yeah, let's do that.
I'll turn off the phone. Okay, I'm gonna hang up.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Both you
Faintly
and
or-
Alexis and Kathy, you're gonna need to speak up, that's all.
Okay. Got it. No problem.
And as close to the microphone as you can get.
Okay.
Can I mute
I
it
think
when
I
I'm
s-
not talking? Or
Say again?
should I mute my mic when I'm not talking? Or are you gonna mute me?
Don't hold off on that for now.
Okay.
I think just to make the vote again, those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. See 7 hands, passes unanimously. Zoning compliances, 330 Grassmere Ave, application of Primrose Companies on behalf of Physician One Urgent Care to establish a medical office in a portion of an existing building in the design commercial district. Mr. Went.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this subject site is within the Whole Foods Plaza. The existing vacant space in question was originally occupied by Chase Bank. The applicant seeks to make interior alterations to establish an urgent medical care, Physician One Urgent Care. Use is permitted in the district, and the change in use does not trigger any change to the parking demand in the plaza. That's all I have.
May I have a motion on the item? Commissioner Levy,
Move to approve?
Commissioner Braun, second. Was that a yes, Commissioner Braun seconding?
Yes, I'm seconding it.
Okay. Commissioner Levy,
Yeah, it would appear to be appropriate use, no impact on parking, and we'll have one less bank.
Commissioner Braun,
Yeah, I know, last time, Mr. Went gave us a little synopsis of the parking. It does not require any more parking than the prior use as a bank?
Correct.
it does
Okay.
not require more use.
And it's just an interior renovation of the building, of the space?
Also correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the commission? Let's put this to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hands. See 7 hands, passes unanimously. 1565 Post Road, application of Liang Chen to establish outdoor seating in an existing food service establishment, Tea Swirl Crepes, in the Center Design Business District.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the applicant was approved to establish T-Swirl Crepes about a year ago, April of 2023. The proposal calls for an 8x12 outdoor seating area for customers. This is a counter service only, so there's no wait staff that'll be serving outside. It's just a seating area for customer convenience. We did submit some photos in your materials that show the storefront. There's an 8-foot projection from the building. There's a seam in the sidewalk that would correspond with, leaving 4 feet of clear concrete sidewalk, and then between that and the curb, there's another couple of feet of the decorative brick downtown pavers. So that is all I have. It's not table service. It's just some seating. It's an ice cream crepe kind of place, and they're just looking to put 2 tables outside, and it's in compliance with our parking regulations that allows up to 300 or 400 square feet. This is far less than that. I have nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. Went. May I have a motion on the item, please? Commissioner Braun? Commissioner Braun,
Yes?
I see your hand up.
Yeah, I was making a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Pikowski seconds. Commissioner Braun?
Question for Mr. Wendt. This does not, what we allow, outdoor, with expanded regulations and differentiation between service versus not service, right? It's just simply tables outside. Doesn't matter exactly what level is.
Just service,
In our
no
outdoor-
service outside, just tables?
Correct. Yes, this is a counter service facility. There's no wait staff. So it would just, for the customers want to pick up their whatever they're buying and sit outside, they have that opportunity.
But our regulation that we expanded to allow the outdoor dining, that does not differentiate anyway between whether there's wait service or not, right?
Correct.
Better. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Pikowski?
I think that it would be a nice addition to be able to have some seating out there. I believe, I've actually sat outside next door, which is a similar situation, I believe, where they sell sushi, and also the coffee shop. So I'm definitely in support of this.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the commission? As Mr. Wentz said, it's in compliance with our regulations, so let's put this to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. See 7 hands, so it passes unanimously. 1275 Post Road, application of David Snyder to expand existing outdoor dining in the Brick Walk Tavern in the Center Design Business District. Mr. Wendt?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Brick Walk Tavern had previously been approved for 150 square feet of outdoor dining. With the recent regulation change permitting up to 400 square feet, they're looking to add some additional parking or reconfigure their space. On the drawing, there's 2, if you're familiar with the location, their entrance is in the center. Their previous 150 square feet was to the right of that outdoors. There's another, it's kind of underneath the overhang, if you're familiar with that. So it's 350 square feet in total, less than the 400 max, reconfigured so that there's better pedestrian flow around it, so the space. And in our opinion, it complies, and it's, again, consistent with the 400 square foot limitation that was recently approved.
I'm sorry.
Well, let's get a motion, yeah, sorry. May I have a motion on the item? Ivan? Commissioner Randolph?
Oh, I'm sorry. Could, Mr.
Well,
Wentz?
if you don't have a, I thought you were maybe going to make a motion.
Oh.
Let's get a motion on the table first.
Oh,
then we
I
can-
can make a motion.
Sure.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Randolph. Is there a second? Commissioner Carcello. Commissioner Randolph.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mr. Wentz, can you just clarify the square footage proposed and then the permissible amount to?
Yeah, they're at about just shy of 350 feet, and we allow 400 without any additional parking.
Commissioner Corsillo? Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I have a question.
Commissioner Harrison?
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. I had a question just on the seating. Would it impact the pedestrian flow into the lobby area of the brick walk to the left of it? I've been there many times. It's a great restaurant. Hope everyone tries it. But I guess it just seems rather. Is it me or is it just a little tight? Or do you think there's ample space for pedestrians to go past the restaurant into that vestibule area to the left?
I don't know if you have access to it, but on the drawing,
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
kind of showed that sketch. It comes out 8 feet. There's a pretty wide
Okay.
walkway there. So I did go out and meet with the restaurateur, and he had it kind of chalked out on the brick.
Okay.
And there should be ample room to come and go through that lobby space.
Mr. Wentz, show me what you're looking at. That's fine. It's what Mr. Wentz is looking at what's on the screen.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're all clear on that.
I guess, and can you just confirm, sorry if I missed this, just how much space there is between, I guess that red rectangle to that lobby area?
Oh, it's at least 6 feet.
Okay.
This is the end.
Got it. Thank
If
you.
not more. I didn't
Okay.
measure it, but it's
Roughly 6 feet.
I would say it's 20. It's 20 between the wall and that area, so.
I'm sorry?
It looks like there's about at least 20 feet between the wall and the seating.
Is that Jeff speaking? I'm sorry. I can't tell.
In different spots.
Right here? She's asking about going to the lobby here.
yeah, I don't know what the exact area is, but there's at least the equal amount of
That's 8.
passageway as there will be seating. So I think there's going to be
Just
ample.
talking about that.
Yeah, there's more. It's probably 20, Alexis, it's probably 20 feet between the two areas. There's plenty of space.
You agree with that? Yeah?
Yeah.
So they're 8, right? So it's kind of 8.
Well, I don't know, yeah, I guess
That's 4.
I think she's talking about this entryway.
No, she's talking about the.
No, I think the shared lobby access.
The shared lobby, like
I don't
the
know exact
entranceway?
dimension, but there's going to be at least an equal amount of space as there is for the seating. So I think
Okay. Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the commission? Or Commissioner Braun, go ahead.
So, this has tables on either side of the entryway to the restaurant, but less tables where the way is to the main building, right? And are they gonna have some kind of barrier, like not a permanent, but something so people don't, walk too close to the tables where people are eating? Like, do they put there? I didn't see that in the plan.
they had a railing under their first.
Like there is at the
Speaking
pizza
with them, I
place.
think they're going to do planters similar to what Sophie's has right across from them. The tenant that's on the other side of that brick walkway, there's some potted plants that they're going to use as a delineation.
You mean where Pizza Versace is, right next door? Napolitan, that pizza place next door?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that was my only concern, that people walking by would be bumping into tables, so. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or can we put this to a vote?
Just one more question.
Go ahead.
Is the intent for Mr. Snyder to put like heaters up like Pizza Versace has as well?
Years?
Years.
I don't know. That's at their discretion. When the regulations were amended, we eliminated the time constraints. So it's as I don't believe they had any previously. I don't recall, but they could, subject to the fire marshal's approval.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Any final comments or questions? Put this to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hands. Be 7 hands, passes unanimously. Next item is our public hearing, 1073 North Benson Road. Special exception application of Fairfield University pertaining to a proposed comfort station and storage building at Barlow Field in the AA zone. Attorney Fallon, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record,
Can't see them on your screen.
my name is John Fallon. I'm pleased to be here representing my alma mater, Fairfield University. Also with me is Mr. Brian Phillips, Senior Project Manager from Langen Engineering, who you'll be hearing from in a second. And our Vice President of Facilities and Campus and Auxiliary Services, Mr. David Frasinelli, who will also be participating this evening. The application is for the construction of a small comfort station and storage facility at the existing Barlow Field, which, as you know, is located in the southwest corner of the campus. It's used primarily for prep students, football and lacrosse practices and scrimmages. What we have there now, as you know, is 2 porta potties, portable toilets, and 2 rather unsightly storage containers where we can store some of the athletic equipment. The porta potties are subject to being cleaned, transported by trucks, etc. And so we wanted to improve the ambiance and function of the field. And our proposal before you tonight is to do that in 2 ways. One is to construct a small 580 square feet comfort station, as shown on the plans we've submitted. That will provide men's and women's toilet facilities at this athletic field, where all that's there now are those 2 porta potties. It's going to be used by students and the small number of spectators who occasionally attend scrimmages and practices and games. For spectators, there are no facilities now other than the 2 porta potties. We efforted to find a location for the comfort station that would be both practical and functional for the athletes and the participants. One concern that we had was placing them elsewhere, perhaps up where the existing porta potties were, was not going to be an attractive option for students who are participating in athletics and wanting to relieve themselves, which we have had some complaints in the past about that being done in the adjacent woods. And we didn't think that people were going to want to walk any more out to that porta potty area than they do now. So we thought that was a good location. But most importantly, we picked this location because we felt with the existing screening and the proposed screening, we could ensure that this small and attractively designed facility wouldn't have any off-site impacts, whereas if we placed it up where the existing porta potties are, it would have impacts for people traveling or living on Round Hill Road. We're not proposing any expansion of the use of the field. We're not proposing any bleachers. We're not proposing any seating. There's no lighting obviously proposed. There's no scoreboard. There's no sound system. All we want is one of the 2 elements of the application, a bathroom, where we think that is in everyone's interest to have one, including our neighbors. The second structure is approximately 600 square feet, and it will be used to store football and lacrosse facility and lacrosse equipment. There's presently no storage for such equipment except for those containers. Once constructed, the storage containers and the portable toilets that are there now will, of course, be removed. As you can see by the plans we've submitted, the exterior siding and roofing of these 2 small buildings will be consistent with the materials at the Barnyard South townhouses located to the north of Barlow Field. So they are attractively designed, and we think they'll harmonize very well with the character of that part of the campus. So before some concluding remarks, I'd like to call on Brian Phillips, who will briefly review with you the plans that we've submitted and discuss with you the proposal. Brian.
Thank you. For the record, Brian Phillips, Langen Engineering, 555 Long Wharf Drive in New Haven. As Attorney Fallon mentioned, we located the buildings roughly at the midpoint of the field in a relatively flat area to minimize the earthwork regrading required to construct the fields. Additionally, all the rainwater, the roof leaders, which capture the roof drainage from both structures, will be piped to an underground detention system, which we have coordinated with Anthony Santiago of Fairfield Engineering and are providing the town's requirement for detention to handle that roof drainage. Fairly straightforward project. We have typical erosion controls called out during construction, but essentially just the two structures, some small concrete pads at the doors. But other than that, the site will be returned to lawn as it is currently.
Thank you, Brian. So that's our request, these two structures to provide these two facilities at the existing field. I stand before you representing the university proudly. It's a university that we know contributes rather significantly to our community, a university that's always endeavored as a priority to be proactive and sensitive in our relationships and communications with our neighbors. It's a university that for many years has maintained an athletic field at this location. And it's a university that wishes to replace an unsightly and not very functional, inconvenient porta potties with a small aesthetically designed comfort facility. And we want to replace an unsightly storage containers with a small structure, again, attractively designed to internally store the equipment. So that's the proposal that we have before you. And we'd be pleased to answer any questions that you or the members of the public might have.
Commissioner Braun?
I'm unmuted now.
You're muted, Commissioner Braun.
Okay. Can you tell me the increase of impervious surface, because we do videos and submitted.
Impervious surface. What's the impervious surface being added?
So there's approximately 1,450 square feet of impervious added. However, that does not take into account the storage unit boxes that are out there today that will be removed. So in actuality, that number's a little low, but we did design the underground detention for the 1,450 square foot of impervious.
Are the storage unit boxes, do they have foundations or?
The storage boxes have foundations.
No, they're typical storage containers.
Okay, I'm not sure
Can't you see
that,
my pools?
I don't know that that would be, I'm not an engineer. I don't know if that would be considered an impervious surface, but, so we got a couple, every time we get something for Fairfield University, people that come that live nearby that always talk about the flooding. And my concern is, maybe this satisfies what engineering requires. Has engineering, they say that it does not have more runoff.
Kathy, can you just get a little closer to your microphone and speak up, please?
Okay, can you hear me better now?
That's better.
Yes.
Brian.
Okay, so
Please.
every time we get something from Fairfield University, we have neighbors, obviously on the downhill side, that talk about flooding. So I've seen two videos that were sent to the commission from a neighbor. I believe it's in this corner, which is the corner of Barlow Road, hard to tell. I'm sure one of them is probably to speak, but it looked as though one of them was pooled and puddled water or near the road, right near where this is. And it looked as though it was coming into somebody's yard across, perhaps no houses on the same side, and literally filling the yard like swimming pool from the road. Like it looked like 4 water in both videos. Hard to tell, but question, does anyone analyze the cumulative effect of all the development activity? So even if each individual by their engineering department, is there a cumulative effect of the surfaces where it seems like you can't make it better? And I just want to know how is this addressing that possibility of making the flooding worse?
Oh, I heard you. Thank you. This is John Fallon, Commissioner. Yes, so a couple of preliminary points and then directly address your question. One, I just want to focus, as I know you are, on the fact that what we're here tonight is to seek approval of these two small structures for the comfort station and the storage facility. I also would want to say that these have been, this particular application that's been put before you tonight has been reviewed by the engineering department. and they've approved it, and we've met all their standards. Now, let me address the broader question that you raise in terms of concerns that have been raised by some of our neighbors directly to us about impacts on their property from possible issues involving drainage involving our property. We determined prior to bringing this application forward to make a complete study of that, working with the town engineering department so that we could ensure that there was nothing that we were doing or causing to exacerbate any of the existing problems that the neighbors have had in the past. We also wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that working in conjunction with the town, we did take some steps back in 2018, was it? To address concerns, ongoing concerns that were related to whether or not the field was having any impact on these historical drainage situations. The town itself had been attempting independently to address in its own right-of-way issues relating to some of those factors. To make sure we were on top of that situation, we had a meeting with the town engineering department just a few months ago that was attended by Mr. Frasinelli, Mr. Phillips, and Katie Hurley of our staff. I'd like Brian to take a few minutes so that we can directly answer Commissioner Braun's question, just to give you an overview of what was discussed at that meeting, both in terms of the underlying issues relative to the drainage concerns that some of the neighbors have, the factors that related to steps that the town and the university took voluntarily in 2018 to try to help with that situation, and what the present state of the situation is. So could you, Brian, address that for us?
Sorry. Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want, I see there's.
I can't.
Hold on.
Oh,
Kathy,
okay.
can we hear from Mr. Phillips first?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So before I get into the larger items, I guess, just answering the question about this particular project, while we are adding these two buildings, we're adding additional stormwater detention where there isn't any now. So essentially, the rainwater, which would have fallen on the ground and flowed over land, is now being captured direct underground to infiltrate. So this particular project, I guess, has its own underground detention. Going back to this meeting about the larger Barlow Field, I'm not sure if the figure is brought up. That would help just orientate if everyone's able to see that.
Share.
Page is that?
It's something I think you provided.
Supplemental?
So it's just a visual aid to.
Yeah, what is it? Is this in the presentation materials? I'm just trying to get.
It is not, it is being submitted now.
Submitted now, okay, sorry.
So the synthetic turf field was built in 2015, and I believe the video that Commissioner Braun is referencing is from a flooding event in 2018. Following that, in 2019, the town held a meeting with the homeowners along Barlow Road to discuss additional measures to prevent stormwater from migrating to Barlow Road. Possible actions were discussed. Following that meeting, a trench drain was installed at the driveway apron of 305 Barlow Road. Subsequently, in 2021.
Can you just stop there for a minute? Who installed the trench drain?
The town installed the trench drain.
And this was in 2019?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
In 2021, the university discussed additional measures with Fairfield Engineering to further improve the drainage on Barlow Road. Following this discussion and under the supervision of Fairfield Engineering, the university installed an earthen berm, essentially dividing the field from Barlow Road to prevent surface stormwater. An additional yard drain was installed with a separate underground detention system to further promote infiltration and take water offline. And the disconnection of an underground storm pipe connection on the eastern half of the field. So the field is essentially divided in two, east and west, and there are stormwater connections underground to the catch basins in Barlow Road. The eastern portion of the field, the connection point, was disconnected under the supervision of Fairfield Engineering. to prevent any stormwater from the field on the eastern half to enter the town's drainage system at that point. Subsequently, there were more notices of flooding events. The town, after being contacted, converted the trench drain, which they had installed previously in 2019, to a catch basin, again at the 305 Barlow Road driveway apron. And since this, there have been no known, and subsequently there have been heavy rainfall events in both December and January of this year, and there have been no known complaints or notifications of flooding events in Barlow Road.
So the point that I just want to make, or I think Mr. Phillips makes for me, is that there obviously is an ongoing, has been an ongoing drainage issue involving portions of Barlow Road, including the 305 address. The university has tried to be proactive and cooperate with the town, who has independently tried to address this concern by way of the things you've just heard from Mr. Phillips in terms of the catch basin and other improvements that they've made in the vicinity of 305. We believe that at the outset, and certainly now, whatever drainage conditions may exist relative to the Barlow Road area and specifically 305, we are not in any way exacerbating. And in fact, we're not aware over the last, as Mr. Phillips says, couple of years since these improvements have made, that there have been any other documented situations of the type of the video that was from earlier that Commissioner Braun references. So we take seriously our role as a neighbor. We don't want and will not allow anything to transpire on our property that has an adverse drainage impact on any of our neighbors. And our commitment is bolstered by the fact that the town engineering department is very much aware of all such situations and will only approve an application, including the small one that's before you tonight, if they are satisfied that there will not be any inappropriate drainage impacts associated with what is proposed.
Commissioner Braun, follow up, you're on mute.
Yeah, okay. So the letter from the neighbors that's in the package, actually, I think it's
louder, please.
Pardon me?
A little louder, please.
Okay, the letter dated February 5th from 8 or 10 people nearby on Barlow, Round Hill Road. And this comfort station, I couldn't tell from the plans. It looked, the field is right on the edge of Barlow Road. Can you just explain again where the comfort station is in relation to the, is it between? Tell me again where the comfort station is in relation to field.
The commissioner's question is where precisely is the location of the comfort station in terms of proximity to Barlow Road?
So the proposed comfort station is approximately 120 feet from the property line. So I'd say approximately 130 feet from Barlow Road.
But it's to the right when you're looking from standing across the road, like where 305 is. It looks like it's directly across from 305. No, it's on the right side of the field when you're looking at the field from Barlow.
The commissioner's question is, what's the approximate distance of the comfort station from the 305 Barlow Road property?
Approximately 170 feet.
170 feet.
Where it's situated is on the right of the field when you're looking at the field from Barlow Road. It's on the right side of the field, not behind the field. There's a whole lot of space behind the field. Why couldn't, like up the hill?
Hold on.
Yes,
Excuse me, can I say something, please?
No, please.
Okay, let me know when I can.
Do you have the site plan, Commissioner Braun?
Yes, I have it downloaded and also on the Zoom call as well.
Yeah. Because I
I
think the
see-
site plan depicts
Yeah.
the location.
That on mute. No, you had the right idea. Put that, we can listen to it, but put it on mute.
If you look at an aerial, there's a lot of open
Star
space,
six.
empty space. You know, at the top of the hill, I guess you could call it, Coughlin Road. So the ball field is really on the corner of Barlow and Round Hill Road. And this comfort station is going to be to the right of that, directly across from the neighbors. But there seems like a lot of empty area not used above the field on the way.
There's a lot of echoing. I can't really hear you, Commissioner. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Braun, what else do you have open on your end?
I can't hear her. Can you repeat what you just said?
Hold on, Commissioner Braun, besides your mic,
The only mic I have open is the mic on my computer for this.
you don't have another computer open or another phone
I have a
open?
phone open, but it's not on Zoom or anything.
Can you
I have an aerial and I have a PDF on my.
dialed in?
It's weird.
Is your phone dialed in?
I'll try again. In terms of the location of this comfort station, it looks.
Commissioner Braun, hold on.
I did,
Is your phone dialed into WebEx?
No, it's not.
Commissioner, I did understand your question, and if you can hear my answer,
Yes.
we chose the
Can you repeat the
location
question, Attorney
for two
Fallon?
reasons. As I said before, we want it to be proximate enough to the athletes and the athletic field so that it's functional and it will be used reasonably conveniently by them and spectators. And secondly, we felt it was the best location to ensure the kind of screening that we have done at Barlow Field and other areas of the field to ensure that it would have no visible impact on any adjacent neighbors. That's why we made the choice of location that we did.
You also wrote in a question, would it be close? What was the comment from Mr. Commissioner Braun?
It was, sorry. Would it be?
Would it help to put it uphill and closer to Coughlin?
We don't feel that that would be as an appropriate location, both as a matter of convenience, safety, and again, visibility.
Commissioner Braun, any further questions?
I typed one.
She's asking where are the porta potties now?
The porta potties now, Commissioner, are near the driveway entrance off of Round Hill Road in that paved area across from the child care facility.
Commissioner Randolph.
Mr. Phillips, how many square feet are being added of impermeable surface? You said before, could you just restate?
1,450.
So of the 1,450, your engineering design is accounted to retain all of the water on the site, is that correct?
Correct.
So no water will...
Well, retaining the stormwater from the impervious.
Yes, so for the 1,400 square feet, how much water will be leaving the site based upon your current design?
Well, all of the water will be sent underground.
Right.
From the, from the roof.
So from your description, it sounds like no water will be leaving the site?
From the roof.
Right, from the roof and the impermeable surface, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so just to be clear, no water is going to be leaving the site, no additional water.
This project will improve, albeit, small, but it will improve the stormwater situation.
Right. So clearly there's concerns about stormwater leaving the site. It sounds as if your design will prevent any additional water leaving the site and will not contribute to any of the stormwater that will reach the street or storm drain system.
Correct.
And just to repeat a point that was previously made, you reviewed all of this with the town engineer, who's taken into context the existing deficiencies of the stormwater system.
Correct.
And their feedback has been what? Just to repeat.
They have approved, yes, they have approved our design. There was some back and forth, and we have responded and incorporated all of their comments.
And just what were the nature of some of their comments and questions?
They had clarified an additional requirement for storage, which we incorporated and met.
Stormwater storage.
Correct.
Versus
stormwater storage.
Versus
Yes.
equipment storage.
Yes.
And what did that involve, in other words, in terms of enhancements to the drainage?
We added one additional underground detention unit. We have a total of 7.
Right. So for, just to repeat this again, because few people really deal with stormwater or civil engineering on a regular basis, your design will prevent any water from leaving the site. Currently, are they containers? Is that what's on the site?
Currently, there are, yes, storage containers.
Yeah, so the storage containers, do they have any stormwater
No,
detention?
they do not.
Yeah. So,
The porta potties.
yeah, nor do the porta potties. So right now, your design, it should improve upon what's there.
Correct.
Just to reassure the commissioner and the neighbors, this very discrete project, these two structures, under the design of Mr. Phillips and his colleagues, and after review by the engineering department, is calling for the inclusion of not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 7 Coltech units. And so it's
I was going to say, might as well explain what those are.
Yeah, so these are underground plastic arch chambers, which are enveloped with stone. So stormwater comes in, it's able to infiltrate into the ground. So it's essentially an underground storage, detention system.
It's a highly engineered project from a drainage standpoint, taking into consideration the discrete nature of what will be constructed.
One of those systems would hold how much water? About-
So each chamber holds approximately 80 cubic feet. The total amount of detention that we are providing is 550 cubic feet of storage.
And just to, if I may.
Go ahead. Thank you.
If you were designing a house of the same size, what would the engineering for a house look like? Would it be similar or would it be less than this? If you were to put I'm asking you to speculate, so.
It would be similar, depending on the particular regulation in that
Right, but I'm
location.
guessing that a house, you're at a higher standard, you're at a commercial standard versus a residential standard, is that?
This is a higher standard.
That's what from your description, I just wanted to
Yes.
make sure I understood that correctly. Thank you, that's all I have.
Commissioner Levy.
Yes, Mr. Phillips, just a few related questions. What is the height of each of the buildings up to the ridge vent or roof vent? Is there any increase in elevation between Barlow Road and the base of the foundation in terms of elevation? And what screening is there and what screening is anticipated?
So the structures are proposed at essentially the same level as the field. So you would walk from the field straight to the comfort station. The buildings themselves are approximately 8 feet to the roof and to the beginning of the roof.
Yeah.
Not to the top of
I
the
saw that one. I didn't scale it from above.
Yeah, I don't have the exact, I believe it's approximately, I would say, 12 to 16 feet to the top. Currently, there is a row of very mature arborvitae all along Barlow Road, which this comfort station would be behind, and I believe that there is intention to install additional arborvitae.
Correct.
To further ensure that this will be screened
Totally screened.
from Barlow Road.
The screening will mimic what you see as the screening on Round Hill Road of this facility.
There's no berm contemplated, is there?
No, the berm is up by the dormitory, but no, but it'll be that kind of screening that currently screens Barlow Field from Round Hill Road.
Thank you.
Commissioner Harrison.
Yes, thank you. I have a few questions. I was reading through some of the concerns from the neighbors. Can you talk about the lighting plan with the comfort
Yes.
station?
Mr. Phillips, can you address the commissioner's question is lighting?
I mean, what I'm concerned about really is just increased, light pollution, especially in this residential neighborhood.
Actually, Mr. Fresnelli, is here. He's getting a free ride tonight. So I'm going to let him address Commissioner Harrison's questions about lighting. And then we'll go to your other question, Commissioner.
Good evening. For the record, I'm David Frassinelli, Vice President for Facilities, Campus Administration at Fairfield University. The Comfort Station has the code mandated lighting for egress so that if someone were to exit the bathroom at night and step out onto the, pad, the concrete pad, there would be sufficient light that they could literally just step out of the building. The specified light fixture is a 100% cutoff light fixture so that there is no night sky illumination. You would not be able to stand on the field and see the actual bulb element. The light would then hit the surface of the ground and provide the code required foot candles of illumination. In the areas required, a couple feet beyond that, you would have 0 foot candles. It is targeted and limited only to the code required egress areas.
Thank you. And then with those lights, can you confirm that those lights would be off when the field is not being utilized in the evening?
The question is, would the field, those lights as you described them, be off on evenings when the field is not in use?
Yes.
The answer is yes, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. And then just question, and by the way, I totally understand the need for this. This is obviously far better than porta potties for many reasons, but I just had a question. Is there a plan, just out of curiosity, to develop the field even more,
No. The answer is that there is not. The use is very functional for our current uses. We're sensitive to the location of the field. And as I said at the outset, these two small discrete buildings to address, just comfort needs and storage of the facilities, that's our wish list here. We come forward, nor do we intend to in the future, seeking lighting, seating, sound systems, or anything of that nature. That's not how this field functions for us in terms of primarily prep engagement in terms of JV football and lacrosse.
Okay,
So
thank
no.
you. And I guess my concern is, and I appreciate you using the word discrete, but some of the neighbors probably that don't really agree with that. These are discrete based on some of their issues that they've raised. But I appreciate your answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Randolph, yes.
Mr. Frassinelli?
Yes.
So I appreciate your description and having 0 light cutoff. Again, this is something that some people may not be as familiar with. You said 2 foot candles, which is a very abstract idea.
I didn't specify the foot candles. I mentioned code required foot candles on the surface. I don't know what is the requirement. One?
I don't know offhand, but these are building mounted lights, which are typically
One
above.
foot candle. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it said 2.
Yeah.
So just to put that in context, do you know what else generates 1 foot candle of light? Just to put it in, for point of comparison, since it's not a unit that people use on a daily basis.
I am hard pressed to come up with that answer. It's
dim. Very dim, yeah. So just a normal reading lamp is how many foot candles? Sorry, 80.
Yeah.
So normal, like a reading lamp's 80, and it's a logarithmic scale. So 1 foot candle is like almost nothing. It's like basically like a nightlight.
Correct. Okay.
So like a nightlight or less. It's probably less than a nightlight.
And this field has and will have no lighting for athletic events. So the prospect, reflecting on Commissioner Harrison's question, when the field is not in use, the lights will not be on. And there'll be, as one who's attended a lot of prep functions at that field, when darkness comes, usually whatever event is going on there is over because that's it. So the lighting.
These are just clarification questions. So another clarification question is, so it's, what do we care about? Appearance, lighting, and noise. Will there be any noise generated from this location that you anticipate?
There will be no permanent sound systems installed.
No, I'm just saying use of it, use of the location will comings and goings, do you anticipate any noise or anything unusual activity?
No different from what's been going on for over a decade. I mean, we're not looking in any way to change the use of the field. We're just looking to have these two enhancements to the facilities.
Commissioner, well, let me ask this, because I saw Commissioner Braun had a question in the comments. Is the structure in the same place as the existing storage units and porta potties?
The answer to the first is, the porta potties is no. The porta potties are where I described them before, up by the gravel area and the childcare facility. So that's no. I'm not where the
C boxes, so the traditional steel containers are uphill, upgrade. I would say probably 20 feet due east of the proposed location. So it's a level playing field with a level side. It then slopes up to a hill to a sort of a wooded area, and that's where the boxes currently reside.
Just to go along with Commissioner Randolph's questions, will the bathrooms be locked when there's not anything happening on the field?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison and Braun, I can't see you at this point, so if you have a question, just so either put it in the comments or speak up.
I have a
I have a few
question.
quick questions, though.
I think Commissioner Braun said she had a question.
Oh, she did? Commissioner Braun, go
I'm
ahead.
trying to figure out, you're gonna have to refresh my memory of this, because I don't know where the president's house is. Is that across Round Hill Road, up from the field? Because
The
that's where-
president's house, to the extent it's relevant, the president's house is on Round Hill Road. It's up nearer to the gate into the university that exists on Round Hill Road.
Okay, because one of the typed answers in the chat when I was trying to figure out where they are now, that's where they are now. That's where the porta potties are and also the storage units, or the storage units down right closer to, are they together now, the porta potties and the storage units?
Yeah, the storage units are located down in the general vicinity of where the new storage facility would be. The porta potties are not. They're located up in the other end, fairly distant from the field, which makes them very inconvenient for athletic participant and spectator use, because it's a bit of a hike.
And where you're going to them, I'm just looking at an aerial. There's a square area that looks like a field. Then there are trees, and then there's something under the trees that might be the storage units, sort of a little bit apart from the road, uphill, I guess. Are
Yeah.
they going to be requiring any cutting of trees, removal of trees to construct this? Or is it going into that open square meadow area?
The commissioner's question is, in order to site the storage facility as proposed, are we going to have to cut any trees, or will they be going in the same general vicinity of the open area where the current storage containers are?
The comfort station and the storage building are going to be in an area where there are no trees
The
currently.
answer to the question, Commissioner, is no. There won't be any, both structures will be constructed in an area where there are no trees, so there will not have to be any tree removal.
Okay, and is there any engineering reason the only reason you're locating them down here is for convenience of the participants or the spectators, I guess? And also, but the main reason you're doing this is to have permanent structures, not right?
Yeah, I mean, but the main reason we're doing it is we think the porta potties are unsightly. I won't say they're unsanitary, but they're not inviting to utilization. And we want to have reasonable bathroom facilities at this field. And as I said before, we chose the locations that we did, both in terms of functionality and also we felt it was the best area for us to be able to entirely screen them from any off-campus impact.
Thank you.
a few quick questions, I think. You don't, the university and, in prep, what I'll put together as the university, is the use of the field going to change because we have additional bathroom facilities? Are there going to be more games there? Are there going to be more anything there?
No.
How many, you have 2 porta potties, how many toilets and urinals collectively are we getting? Extra count, is that a better way of saying it?
There are a total of 4 toilets and 2 urinals.
What is that going to be? 3 in the women's?
3 in the women's, 1 toilet in the men's, 2 urinals, 2 sinks in each.
ADA units, fixtures in there, at least 1 in each?
For the record, Kurt Krasinski from Facilities. Might as well get everyone up here. Yeah, they are designed for accessibility also. This is very similar to the comfort station that's at Lessing Field right now, an existing comfort station on campus. So the design was based on that facility. Something that's locked, something that's cleaned on a regular basis, something that we maintain.
Again, the thought is, as far as the uses of the field, which, I mean, it's used, the field's used quite well. I won't say extensively, but it's used to a regular standpoint. But it's not, the plan with these is for, as you said, comfort and sanitation and all that. It's not to increase either the usage or, I guess, more to invite invitees with, as if you put state bleachers up.
Correct. We're not expanding seating or doing anything of that. It is designed not only to improve the visual impact, but also the experience. Portable toilets, no matter how much you clean them, are kind of gross, and we've received quite a few complaints, particularly from prep mothers who are particularly adverse to the portable toilets and are less inclined to run into the woods than maybe some of the male counterparts. It's really aimed at kind of getting that situation under control.
The other thing I'd add with regard to that is we did take a look at that, a matter of use, and interestingly enough, it's not one of the highly leveraged use fields on our campus. It's primarily used by, like I said, prep, JV football, and lacrosse. And so what we did was we kind of booked out on a 365-day basis, taking into consideration that there are, would be roughly 11 hours of daylight on average, the use of the field that could be had. And we found that we were using the field 36.92% of that time. So it's not a field like many of our public fields here, understandably, our public schools, that is churning a lot. It's
No, but that's still a good percentage though for 2 private schools.
Yeah. That's the number, in case you want it.
No, and that's helpful because.
But we're not going to be expanding it.
And to the extent it increases any, people coming, it's because now there's more of an invitation that there's better facilities there. But not because that's okay. Not because there's gonna be more games, there's gonna be bleachers, there's gonna be lighting or things like that. Okay.
Just briefly, prep scrimmages and practices on Barlow Field, but they use Rafferty Stadium for their larger games, both football and lacrosse. So there's no need to have thousands of people at Barlow.
We don't get a lot of spectators. Occasionally, I know this firsthand because of my grandson, but they will play some JV football games down there. And as you may have seen, if you attend those, depending on the game, you may have 50 or 60 spectators.
Commissioner Harrison or Braun, I can't see you, but any further questions?
It's Alexis. I had a question. How many games are played there per week in season, during the week and also on the weekend?
How many games are played there?
And actually that includes in practices too.
I can only answer based upon my firsthand information. Prep JV football will play maybe 4 or 5 games in season there a year. I think the number is a little higher for lacrosse, maybe 10, but I'm speculating on that. But in terms of actual games as opposed to practices, I don't know of any other games that are played there. The freshman football team actually plays their games up at Lessing. And of course, the varsity does, Rafferty, and the varsity as well. So not a lot of games, but
Practices,
they do use it for practice in season. And that would be the football season for the JV and sometimes during football season and which is in the fall, and lacrosse, which is in the spring.
Okay, and then one other question. Thank you for that. Does the university is there like any agreement or rental with like the town or other, leagues, whatnot, to rent out or lease the space when it's not being used by Prep or Fairfield U?
The only organization that we have an agreement with and do let them use it is Fairfield Youth Lacrosse. And in fact, I was going to do this later, but I guess I'll do it now with the chair's permission. Mr. Ed Curry, who's the president of Fairfield Youth Lacrosse, asked me to submit a letter on his behalf and the behalf of his organization in support of this. I apologize, Commissioners Braun and Harrison, but I just received this before the meeting. What I might do with the chair's permission, which I would not normally do, but because of the circumstances we're working under, is can I read the letter so that Commissioner Harrison and Braun can hear it?
Yeah, that would be helpful for me, and hopefully you can give it to Mr. Wen so he can put it in the record.
What it says is, Dear Town Plan and Zoning Commission Chairman Noonan and fellow commissioners, as president of Fairfield Youth Lacrosse, I write in support of the proposed comfort station and storage building at Barlow Field on the Fairfield University campus, a field that is critical for our ability to serve the large and growing number of youths in our community interested in playing lacrosse. These new small structures would replace the temporary porta potties and storage structures already in place, greatly improving the aesthetic and efficiency of the field while providing safe and clean facilities for children who already use it and their families. Our ability to partner with Fairfield University and to utilize Barlow Field, turf field, has allowed our schedule of games and practices to run smoothly. Given the town's limited turf field space, Barlow has played a vital role in our program's productivity and capability to offer these programs to families in town. Youth sporting events do not feature disruptive music, nor do they generate trash. Flyaway balls are not an issue given the limited strength of our young players. These proposed structures will not add to any noise, trash, or activity to Barlow Field, but merely enhance what already exists. As committed longtime community partners, Fairfield University has sponsored our events and fundraisers, and coaches and players from the university and Fairfield Prep are often involved in the youth teams. Fairfield's lacrosse program for men and women inspire our young players. Please support this special exemption for the proposed one-level comfort station and storage structure at Barlow Field. These new small structures will greatly improve the use of the facilities, which are a huge part of this town's lacrosse community, and with no impact to the surrounding area. Ed Curry, Fairfield Youth Lacrosse President. One other thing I want to say, just to put that in context, as long as I was giving you numbers before, when we looked at the overall use of the field, that led to the 36.92% utilization. We also looked, because we thought it might come up, in terms of, well, what percentage of activity on that field in a time real basis does not involve directly Fairfield University and Fairfield Prep athletics. The answer is that 93% of the time that the field is in use, it's used internally by the university, and that would include Prep. 7% of the time it's used externally, again, by the Fairfield Youth Lacrosse. So I just wanted to let you know that it's definitely not, although it's very important to the Fairfield Youth Lacrosse organization, it's a small portion of the utilization of the field. And as far as rental, we don't really charge a for-profit rental to the university lacrosse, to the lacrosse group. We charge a comparable rate to what the town fields charge for their use. And what money we do make from it, we reinvest directly back into the program by way of sponsoring a lot of activities for Fairfield Youth Lacrosse and obviously our own maintenance of the facility. So we're not doing this for profit. It's very much a community partnership of longstanding with the Fairfield Youth Lacrosse program. But Mr. Curry didn't want me to submit that, so I thank you for that.
Commissioner Harrison, any further questions?
I'm good. Thank you for your help, Mr. Fallon. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Braun?
So not to beat a dead horse, but it looks as though where you're putting this is not in that square grassy area, but to the left of that, there's a square grassy area surrounded by trees. And then like a little bit of an open area, then there's the field on the left. This is in that area between the trees and the field. It's a grassy area.
I can't say much more about our decision in terms of why and where we located the facilities than I have. We think it's a proper location functionally, and we think it's the best location that we can ensure that will have no offsite visibility impact.
Yeah, my point was, I'm just trying to understand exactly where it is. I was thinking if you planted more trees and shrubs below this, that would help for both screening and absorbing any water that might overflow the system during a very, very bad rain event. Because the system's only, are just one day or the first 24 hours. But so, but I think even if you're putting it where it is, could they plant trees in that strip of land that goes down towards Barlow? Used for other purposes,
Did you hear that question?
I did not.
The question is, could we do additional planting in that strip? That strip that extends down by Barlow.
From the restroom to
Fasanelli's
Barlow.
answering that question.
So we did plant the large arborvitae. And as you're proceeding from the corner of Barlow and Round Hill Road going due east, we stopped at a certain point. There is some page wire fencing, and then the wrought iron fence begins. We intend to extend the arborvitae further, particularly in response to concerns raised by two neighbors immediately across the street. We've agreed to put additional plantings, certainly not of the same size as the arborvitae. We have to give them a few years, but large specimens that would grow in and complete the blocking of the view of the field.
Thank you very much. Are you able to plant going alongside the field towards, or is that being used for another purpose? That's not coming from me. I'll mute myself.
Did you ask her to write it to you?
Kathy, were you asking for more plantings along Round Hill Road?
No, I'm at this restroom facility is to the right. It's not near Round Hill Road, but it appears to be in a narrow strip of land that runs alongside the field. To the right, there's a fringe of trees, and then there's some other field that's not being used for anything. Below this, between this facility and Barlow Road, there's a strip of empty land. Is that used for some other purpose, like seating or pathways to walk? Or can you put some more trees there for several purposes, to screen for light and noise, whatever? Also, they do absorb a lot of water. Trees do. So is there a reason you could not do additional plantings? I don't just mean arborvitaes, which are intended to provide a screen on the road, but any kind of plantings between where the arborvitaes are going up alongside towards the facility.
You want additional plantings around the comfort zone, near and around the comfort zone?
Well, I think, yes.
I think the area around the comfort zone, additional plantings would not further block the facility. It would, because behind the facility is an embankment that goes up the hill that's wooded, and then it's the university behind there. There are areas we have to, particularly for the prep scrimmage, to have runoff areas. So for students in play, there's a strip of land to run off of, certainly in front of the comfort station, but alongside as well. And then during practices and games, there may be spectators that stand in that area. You'll note at the northeast corner of the field, it slopes up rather dramatically. So this is a sort of an ideal flat area on this side, just as there is a flat area and a runoff along the west side, the long side of the Barlow Field.
We have, however, I want to emphasize, met with some of the neighbors who are here tonight, and we have agreed with them to enhance further the screening in the area of Barlow Road to address any concerns they might have.
Now, her question just wasn't just screening, it was also that not just arborvitae, but other trees and plants do a service with drainage as well. The thought is between your drainage system, the current screening, and the location, you feel comfortable and confident in what you currently have.
I certainly do. As I said, the 7 Coltex units are, in my mind, very, very aggressive for what we're proposing, and properly so.
But the Coltex units are part of the stormwater system, which is only intended to hold the first X amount of hours of water, right? So if it's a really bad storm.
No, I can take the time and have Mr. Phillips take you through the entire system, but that's just not true.
Clarifying question.
Hold on. I mean, Commissioner Braun, is there a question here? I'm just not sure if I heard a question.
I understand that the strip of land either people watch the strip of land from the facility down to Barlow Road that runs along the right side of the field. Is there a possibility of adding a lane behind the arborvitaes that go along Barlow at the bottom of that strip of land on the right side of the field, just to add more buffer and more potential absorption capability? Just
For the reasons Mr. Frassinelli said, the answer to that would be no. We don't think that would be practical, functional. We think it could impede player safety. It could impede where people can stand and watch the game. And we're very confident with our drainage system as designed and improved by the town that we don't need trees to deal with any runoff of the type you're concerned with. It is not going to occur based upon the integrity of this system.
Was the question to have additional trees inside the line of the arborvitae?
Yeah.
So part of the concern also would be the health of the arborvitae, the fact that they get sunlight from both sides. The moment you overplant it, you'll lose certainly the undergrowth, and that buffer that currently exists would become possibly more transparent.
Commissioner Braun, are you all set?
Yep, thanks.
Okay. Commissioner Harrison, are you all set?
I am, thank you.
Okay, just want to make sure, Commissioner Braun and Harrison, because we've had a tough time, unfortunately. You got any other further questions, or are you guys good on your end? Commissioner Harrison, Braun, you guys are good? Everything's been answered?
I'm okay for now, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Commissioners, further questions, comments? All right. Good. Thank you. So that will conclude the initial presentation portion of this hearing. We'll turn to public comments. We'll see how, we're going to start with public comment with people in the room. Then we can turn to public comment to those remotely, though I acknowledge that 3 people have signed in. Okay. Anybody who's joining us remotely or by phone, if you can just sign in the chat feature. If we run into issues with public comments, I'll keep the hearing open to the next meeting because we need to make sure public comment is heard and had. But let's start with people who are joining us in person. Any member of the public that wishes to be heard that's joining us in person?
Yes, I do. I'll be walking.
No worries, take your time.
Walk over and
To public comments. When it's your turn, if you just please give your name and address, keep your comments germane to the issues. That's it. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. It's Brenda Catugno. I live at 305 Barlow Road. And I guess I have to start with facts. I've got a couple of pages here, but some of the things that have come up in this meeting really need to be addressed. So that video that I sent, because yes, I'm that neighbor, that video that I sent was dated August of 2023. So it's not from 2018. My property is flooded over 12 times since the field was installed. Numerous conversations and emails with the university and with the town have produced some results which we feel positive about. But the last thing that was addressed was in December. The last thing that was done was in December of 2023. So it's like a work in progress. So the reason the town installed the trench drain, this is like a bit of a history, so I'm sorry I'm going to have to meander a little bit. But it took a couple years for us to figure out that our flooding, where it was coming from and why it was happening. My husband's lived in the house for 24 years, and I've been there since 2008. And never had the property flooded. The water never crept up our driveway until 2016, the very first year after the field was built. And so again, it took a couple of years for me to figure this out. When the field was being built, I asked them what was going on. I mean, obviously you're putting in a turf field, but why are there so many dump trucks? And there were so many dump trucks because they had to raise the field 2.5 feet. So what was formerly a level field, level to our property, level to street level, or much, much lower, significantly lower, was now risen, and it made our property the low point. So I first talked with the town about the flooding issue, and I thought it might have been, because around 2018, they repaved the road. So I thought it might have been, the paving, something's off. So they came and put I asked them to increase the apron. Give me another inch on the apron to stop some of this flooding. And they were wonderful. They accommodated us and they installed the apron. Then what was happening is we realized once the apron was installed, water was now getting trapped in our driveway and it couldn't go out. So it's like, I'm not an engineer here. But so they said, we'll install a trench drain. And so when the water comes back out of your driveway, it has a place to go. So brilliant. That's a great solution. Wonderful. But then the next time we flooded, the water came up through the trench drain. So what was coming from the catch basins, because they're connected, we have a catch basin right out inside our driveway, and it connects to the catch basin that's right across the street where the field was draining from. So, or where the field was draining into. And so it was just so much water. You all saw the video, and it creeps up our driveway and shoots down the side of our property and goes right into the pool. It drags all the salt, the silt, the rocks, the mulch, everything with it. So it's quite a mess. So that's a little bit of history on why we had a trench drain installed in our driveway, at the end of our driveway. Okay, so let me see where I am, because these are just the facts before I haven't even gotten to where I'm going here. So what happens with the field, Attorney Fallon had mentioned that the field is used 36% of the time, and that's by people that they have allowed to use it and their own use. But after that, so many random people show up. So there's so much unsanctioned activity that goes on in the field this past weekend, well, the last couple weekends, so Fairfield Youth Lacrosse was playing a tournament, and I love lacrosse. I grew up in Wilton, so let's just get that straight. But last Sunday, they were on the field from 10 to 6, and this past weekend, they were on the field Saturday from 10 to 6, and Sunday from like 11 to 5, something like that. So within 10 minutes of them wrapping up their activity, there was another person on the field, using the field. And so my husband went over and asked the fella, because he's like, where are these people coming from? Like, we just get new peace. So my husband went over and asked the fella, hey, can I ask you what makes you come to this field? And the guy was really nice. He said, hey, I usually go to Ward, and their athletic director locks the field. So I can't use that. So we come over here. But what I'm really getting at is that it's not just the university use. It's not just the sanctioned rental use. It's randos. I mean, random people are using this field all the time. And I think if some of you may have seen my letter from 2022, the first time this came around, 6 o'clock in the morning, one day I had to go drive over and talk to someone playing soccer on the field. It was the president's son. So I'm not really getting much help here as far as trying to keep the noise down in our neighborhood. So I think, let's see, along with that, I think that's my sort of facts on some of the things we've heard tonight. But I'd like to start from the top. Hello, my name is Brenda Catugno. I live at 305 Barlow Road, directly across the road from Barlow Field, and directly in front of the location of this proposed project. If it is allowed to be built, it will be about 130 feet away from my home and visible from our second story and my first story living room, which is my office. So I'm in there all day long. After seeing this happen on several occasions concerning university projects, it needs to be brought to the committee's attention that when the university proposes a new project, it is packaged as a less intrusive, smaller, completely beneficial project. The statement of use on this project does not fully address the totality of it. As submitted, it is underrepresented by 15% in the amount of square footage. In the original application, it shows 1,180 square feet, and in reality, it's closer to 1,400. This was brought to the university's attention by town's engineering department on January 30th, 2024. Furthermore, as no visual analysis was provided, the statement of use cannot state that the new structures will be minimally visible from Barlow Road or Round Hill Road. Some of the neighbors have 3-story homes. I know it's a positive problem, right? But those who don't will still see them from many of their rooms in their homes. In addition to that, the mention of the current arborvitae making these buildings minimally visible means the neighbors have to pray that nothing ever happens to any one of those trees, or we will be looking at this project for years while waiting for another tree to grow. They are not magic trees. There are holes in the coverage. They are not permanent. They are susceptible to storm damage, of which we have seen many trees fall in the area in recent years, and they do nothing to address or protect the neighbors from noise on the field or dangerous projectiles from the field. I sent an email to the committee in February of 2023 of showing the attached videos that became part of this proposal filing. And during previous meetings, I made the committee aware that we have a severe flooding problem that has not been fully corrected or sufficiently addressed since the turf field was installed in 2015. And, all right, anyhow, also, if this field is used primarily by Fairfield Prep, an all-boys school, as stated in the statement of use, and a small number of parent spectators that observe scheduled scrimmages, why is the proposed bathroom so large when 2 portable toilets have worked seamlessly for over a decade? Over the years of full field visibility, I have never seen a line at the portable toilets. There is something missing on the plans provided for this project. I have some questions about the buildings and proposed changes to the land. Number one, I don't see any images. This is engineering fella. I don't see any images for the south elevation view of the buildings. Does it match the north side? If not, how do they differ? There is mention of AC and heat on the key legend, but I don't see them represented anywhere in or near the buildings. Will either or both of the buildings be heated or have AC? If so, how will their noise be controlled? In addition to wiping out an area that currently has mature, very tall water-absorbing pine trees and all of the lower brush and grass along an elevated bank, how does the erosion control help an area that's already flooding its neighbors? Isn't erosion control just supposed to preserve that particular area? I called North American Green Erosion Control Company, listed and inquired how their product helps flooding. Ian Carlin at westerngreen.com, a division of North American Green, said once the ground is under the blanket is saturated, it does not stop flooding. There's a vague reference to planting a New England wildflower meadow mix. Will that be planted along the entire area on the slope behind the buildings? I do not see any landscape plan for the disturbed area. Is it not easy to determine how far, it is not. On the drawings, it's not easy to determine how far away the buildings will be from the field. According to Sports Turf Managers Association and the SAFE Foundation, field safety standards dictate a minimum of 25 feet around the perimeter of the field, or fencing, bleachers, concrete footers, and all hard structures should have the proper padding and protection to keep athletes safe. In a phone call with USA Lacrosse, they did not recommend building a structure adjacent to the field due to the speed at which players are running and the dangers of running into the structure. Is there a reason? There is a reason why you do not see any sports fields with structures on the sidelines. Where is the distance shown on the plans? I do not see any plans for noise abatement. Will we now hear the clanging of doors as we hear every single soccer ball that's kicked? Noise travels over that field. It's as if it's in its right in our front yard. The current trees do nothing to tamp down the noise. The current portable toilets are accessible 24/7. What will be the open and closing procedures with the new structure? Leaving them open will invite vandalism, misuse, and an increase in the noise by kids being kids, and we have 4,600 of them right across the street. How are disabled persons supposed to get to the comfort station? Has an ADA accessibility review for athletes and spectators been conducted? As built, this project has hills on two sides, and another side is far from any parking lot. Building so close to the field puts anyone going to the facilities during the game at risk of getting hit by a player or a ball. Today, I spoke with the Fairfield Fire Marshal, Phil Higgins, and Deputy Chief Kieran Dunn, and asked them the desired point of access for emergency responders to Barlow Field. And they acknowledged that it is the parking lot off of Round Hill. The plans show the addition of a new utility pole right behind the arborvitae in front of our home. There's no mention of the height, but it will string another utility line across Barlow Road and add clutter to our view. In our conversation with the university prior to the February scheduled meeting for this project, Mr. Frassinelli was not aware of the utility pole's placement, but he kindly stated that the university would bury the electric. We appreciate that change, but we also wonder what else is in these plans that the university is not aware of. We also discussed adding appropriate signage for the hours and behaviors acceptable for use, as in February, when my husband and I drove around the university and noticed on their interior fields that they've got hours of use, designated hours of use, but there's nothing on our field, the field in front of our home. Let's see. So it would be helpful if the same limitations that are acceptable on the inside were acceptable or implemented on the outside by, in a field surrounded by neighbors. Lastly, I do not see anywhere in this proposal as a way to address the current flooding issues caused by the installation of the turf field and raise the land 2.5 feet in 2015. The university and the town have decided that they think they have addressed the issues. I would feel a lot more confident in their statement if a little more than 5 months had passed since the last attempt to stop the flooding was implemented in December 2023. Since 2016, there have been 2 full years, 2017, and 2020 when our property has not flooded. Addressing the issue before anything is built in the very area that has caused our flooding seems prudent. The flooding has caused my family to spend over $10,000 in repairing damages, and we experience an overwhelming sense of fear whenever significant rain is forecasted. I think a period of longer than 5 months observation should be required. The rains that have flooded our property in the past have mostly occurred between July and October. We have not even hit those months since the last change in December 2023. One of the problems putting buildings so close to neighbors is that you don't know what you don't know until they're built, and at that point, it's too late to do anything about it. It goes back to unintended consequences I brought up in prior meetings that we, as the neighbors, are expected to live with. This could have been prevented in the first place by a minimum locating the bathrooms in front of the president's home, far away from the neighbors, close to a parking lot, electricity storm drains that are not flooding the neighbors, close to a fire hydrant, and easily accessible to handicapped and emergency services vehicles. The size and location of these structures is overkill. Further inside the campus has a bathroom the same size as this one, and it services 4 fields. The location and size of the structure is considerably larger than the 2 portable toilets that currently service the field, and the storage unit is a 23% increase than their current storage. If they were trying to preserve the nature of this field, this project would not be built so large, which leads us to believe it's an attempt to increase field usage, although they have sufficiently addressed that today. Even if the university only charges a pass-through fee, if the renter is not related to prep or the university, it still makes the rental commercial use, which is really just not fair to the neighbors. We would welcome a significant observation period, perhaps 1 or 2 years, and the implementation of a thoughtful plan of action with the university to create a project that everyone finds agreeable. Follow through from the university on items we have talked about over the years has not been a strong point, so we're not comfortable with building first and then maybe fixing flooding later. As residents of the town, we have expected protection through our town planning and zoning regulations. When it comes to the university, every proposal is a special exception. But this is a AA residential zone location, and we have seen on other occasions that the facts play out differently than the presentation. There seems to be a different set of rules or a double standard when the university is involved. Due to our flooding situation and noise concerns, this project is premature until those are addressed. I don't know how any member of this committee can agree to this project knowing that we're being flooded on a regular basis. Your decisions are permanent and in fact impactful, and I respectfully request you to vote no to this proposal as is, so the university and the neighbors can work together on a mutually agreeable size and location of the facilities in this area. Thank you for your consideration.
Can I ask a question before Chairman Noonan?
We're all set.
Can you hear me?
Kathy wants to ask a question.
Oh, does she? Commissioner Braun?
Yes, you were pointing out that the porta potties are at the top of the hill. Kind of try to explain that to me, because I'll have to drive by, but the porta potties that are used now are close to an existing parking lot. Is that where people would park to go to these games?
Yes. Yeah.
And okay, and also when you observe people playing and using the porta potties, how big of a distance is it to traverse? It can't tell. It's obviously farther than being right alongside the field, but is it an impossible situation? Do people have to go during the game and get back into the game, or is it too far for them to run? It seems like they're saying it's too far, but what have you observed?
Let's see. I would say from the corner of the field to the porta lots.
Round hill.
It's probably 60 feet, maybe 80 feet.
From which?
The playing field to the.
That good, Commissioner Braun? Commissioner Braun, are you good?
Yeah, and in the strip of land that they're talking about that they can't plant, do people sit there or walk there or access the field there? The strip of land from your house, I guess, up until where this facility would be put. Is that strip of land, do you observe that that's being utilized by people to access the field or to spectators? Where do spectators sit?
They sit pretty much right where the buildings are being proposed. They sit there and then they sit on the hill. So that's actually a hill coming from, let's say, the Dolan School parking lot, and then there's the hill, the sledding hill. So they usually sit on the sledding hill or on the hill that leads down from the Dolan parking lot, which I think there's
by the Dolan parking lot. Because there's trees. The park we're talking about is the one not to the right of the field, but the one way up top the field, uphill.
What did you say that again?
I don't know the Dolan Hill parking lot. Is that the one that's sort of to the right of where these facilities were built?
Yes, so the Dolan School is on the long side of the field. So
Okay.
the buildings would be next to the field, and then there's a hill, and then there's the Dolan School parking lot.
So the upper right-hand corner of the field looking from where your house is, that's where people sit up on the hill there. There's trees there though, but I'm trying to figure out if there's a way of doing, I don't know. They said they can't do plantings to further buffer or absorb stormwater between the facilities and Bar Road, because there's that strip of land there that people use, but people don't observe from right there, right near Bar.
I'm so sorry. It's really, really distracting and oh so very difficult to hear you.
That's
And,
okay. I'll drive by, but thank you very much.
But
Yeah.
you have wonderful comments that need to be heard.
Well, it'll show up in the video, I hope.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Commissioner Randolph?
Yeah, just, so, thank you for your input. So, I think, I just wrote down just summarize some of your questions. One, there were some questions about the visibility of the building from your house. And what was represented to us by the applicant was that this was not visible. So I'm not sure what the procedure is to request that from the applicant that there's proper coverage, should this be approved, to assure that there's not visibility. I know you recently.
We'll have, the applicant's going to come up for rebuttal.
Okay.
So the applicant has heard
Yep.
questions being asked through us to them. I would expect that they answer the questions, or we can ask the questions directly.
So let me just summarize some of the questions that I thought I heard. So visibility, 1,100 square feet versus 1,400 square feet, hours of use. One of the elevations, there's a question about one of the elevations. Question about noise. What's the distance of the building from the field, whether that was safe? What are the procedures for opening and closing, and did this comply with ADA? You guys hear me? Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to recap some of the questions I heard.
Yep.
Just for clarity, because I know you had a lot of different issues, but those were the questions I heard that I just wanted to recap.
I can also give you a copy of this so you can look at the questions and you can
Sure,
answer them.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Why don't we,
Did you get
No,
those?
hold on.
I'm sorry.
why don't we, if you have that submission, you have that written electronically? Yes, that what you just gave to them?
Yeah, I have copies for you all, if you'd like them.
Why don't we just give one to the record? So,
Okay. Do you recall, anyone recall notice from my 2022 email. Of when the first time this came around.
Was that submitted to us, Mr. Nguyen?
Well,
Because we had some emails submitted to us.
Well,
Why don't I do this? Submit what you have. Even if it was a previous application, if you feel like that's something you want us to consider, submit it.
okay, yeah, so I submitted this last year, it's just never shown up in the public record. So, oh, sorry, just.
We can go forward with it though, I don't think either, so regardless.
It got kicked down the road to now.
It's in the record now.
Oh, okay, anybody else?
Thank you. I think we're all, oh, is there anybody else? Yeah, I thought I saw. Commissioner Harrison?
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know that.
Sorry, my Alexa just went off. Ms. Franco, thank you for being here tonight. Can you hear me?
Barely, hang on, I'm coming
Okay.
close.
Go ahead, just a little louder.
Yeah, thank you. I apologize that I'm remote tonight. I'm under the weather. Do you, I guess, can you just cite some of your bigger safety concerns if this were to pass? I just want to make sure that I'm understanding them correctly.
Well, I'm primarily concerned about my own property.
Yeah.
And then along with that, there are the safety concerns of whether it's spectators, athletes, anybody who is on the field when something's being played and they have to walk across, like right in front of, to access the bathrooms, they expose themselves to a player, a ball.
Where do players park or spectators park when a game is taking place? Are they on the road or are they within the university parameter?
They're within. They park at the parking lot that's right next to the Round Hill entrance, and they also park at the Dolan School now.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate
Former
your
Dolan School, I should say.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your answers and for showing up tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything further from yourself?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming up. Any other member of the public that's in person? Good evening.
My name is Sue Pinzon. I live at 555 Round Hill Road. I'm directly across the street from the Barlow Field. I'm probably at the 50-yard line. Mark Namick, the president, is my neighbor to one side. I moved here in 2015, and the Barlow Field was just a grass field that was used for prep football in the fall, and pretty much prep rugby in the spring. Rarely Fairfield might have used it. Clearly, Mr. Fallon hasn't spent any time at the field because since the AstroTurf field has been put in, it's used from sun up to sundown, April through probably the end of October. It is used consistently. And I would say, living there, clearly it's used more often than not by other unaffiliated teams. Fairfield Youth Lacrosse is there an awful lot. I mean, all the time. It's probably used more by these other teams than prep. I was originally under the impression it wasn't supposed to be rented to outside users. If this is for prep, if this bathroom is truly for prep parents, as the university stated in its letter to us, why does it have to be huge? I mean, this is an enormous fixture, building. This is about the same size as the bathroom that services 4 fields in the interior. Sorry. And it's going to be really dangerous. The spectators have to walk. They tend to sit on the hill on the north side of the field. They're going to have to walk down the side of this field, which there's not a lot of runoff. The spectators all the way in front of to the bathroom. They have to walk the whole length of the field to get to this bathroom. There's basically what we had looked at, the minimum setback for runoff for lacrosse players or football players, so they don't hit the building. But there's no extra space there for people to walk. get to the building, to get inside to actually use it. So that's a bit of a problem. I think it's incredibly dangerous for the spectators. The university sent out a letter saying they had beautified the neighbor by moving the chain link fence to the interior side of the trees. I believe this was just an unintended benefit. I believe the fence was moved to the field side of the trees because balls were being lost in the arborvitaes. I used to see at least 3 to 4 coaches crawling through the trees on any given weekend day. It seems reasonable to believe they moved it because their renters complained. Actually, based on the way this administration has treated us, I'm a little surprised they didn't leave the old fence there just to spite us. Just as a side note, the arborvitaes were installed by Father Van Ark's administration, not this administration as part of the beautification process. The trees screen the field from the street level, but I don't live on the street. I live in a 2-story home. If this project is allowed to go through, I'll be able to see this bathroom structure and the storage facility from the gap in the trees where the water box is. They didn't want to move the water box in to put a straight line of trees, so there's a gap there where there's a tree that's much smaller and sticks out. From that spot, in my first floor, I can see it from the living room, the family room, the dining room, the kitchen, and my butler's pantry. Upstairs, I can see right over the trees. I don't think they'll ever be tall enough. I can see it from my son's room, my daughter's room, 2 guest rooms, a bathroom, and my dressing room. That's 11 rooms in my house that I'll be able to see this from. I want to know how Mr. Fallon can explain how the trees will stop the noise from boom boxes at 7:30 in the morning, or the sound of whistles all day long, or obscenities from coaches that are screaming at their players. I listened to a coach yell, "Get your effing head out of your ass," over and over and over and over and over again for 45 minutes until I was forced to walk across the street to talk to him. Fairfield U does nothing to monitor this field. The AA zoning doesn't permit my uncle who lives on Round Hill Road to park his work van with his company's logo in his driveway. Yet Fairfield U can run a business renting the field to unaffiliated organizations in a AA zone. This disrupts the whole neighborhood. The trees also don't stop the lacrosse balls from flying into my yard or the coaches from trespassing on my property to retrieve them. I'm sure Mr. Fallon has heard of the ongoing flood issues of some of my neighbors that Barlow are having since the field was installed. The trees haven't done anything to help that either. The university really needs to fix the current flooding issue before putting another structure there that could cause ultimately more water runoff and more flooding. Mr. Fallon's letter said that they wanted to replace 2 unsightly porta potties with a 580 square foot public bathroom and a 600 square foot storage facility running a third of the length of the field. That's not small. A porta potty is about 13 square feet. The structures they are proposing are more than 45 times larger than the 2 porta potties. This is ridiculous. Leave the portalets in front of the president's house. They're near the parking lot, and not a neighbor has a problem with them. None of the neighbors care that the storage containers are up on the hill either. They put trees in front of them and they're painted dark. They're not a problem. They can leave the porta potties in front of the president's house. It won't decrease his property value. The president's home is owned by Fairfield U. Perhaps they could build the bathroom in front of the president's house. This shouldn't be an issue for Mark Nemec, since he apparently thinks it's beautiful, as this is part of their beautification effort. I would like to bring up another point that seems to be an ongoing problem with insufficient notice, that the neighbors asked to meet with the university to discuss this issue a month ago. The university responded yesterday. I work. How am I supposed to get at a meeting at such late notice? Brenda and her husband were the only ones that were able to get to that meeting. And so none of the other neighbors could come. On several occasions, I have not been notified of the university projects that directly affect me. I was never noticed when Barlow Field project was put in place. Trucks just showed up one day, bulldozing it. Or of the townhouse project, that suddenly I have 200 new neighbors across the street. Never notified of that. Another project, I got notification 3 days after the TPZ meeting because it had been mailed from Hartford, And 2 years ago, when Fairfield U originally proposed this bathroom project, we got notice a day or two before the hearing, and it was mailed from Westchester. Jim Wentz' answer to the problem is to get on the TPC mailing list and check it every 2 weeks indefinitely to see if the university has any projects that'll affect me. That's absurd. Why is the responsibility put on the neighbors and not on the building department to do its job? When I learned of the townhouse from a neighbor in Wayne Park, I went to the town to request a set of plans. Matt Decker told me that I couldn't see them since they were in Jim Wentz's office and he was at a meeting. I spoke to a neighbor who was more familiar with the process, and he told me to go back town. They have to give them to you. I came back later and was told that Jim had left for the day and that his office was locked. I looked over Matt Decker's shoulder at Jim's office, the door wide open, and said, "It doesn't look like it's locked." Finally, he let me see the plans, but he still wouldn't give me copies. I was only allowed to take photos on my phone, and I never got copies. Once again, when I went to ask for the plans for this bathroom project, I was met with rejection by a woman working there. I asked if she could email the plans. She refused and made me come back a week later and gave me big printed copies. I work in a CAD where I can download the plans and see them much more easily, and they refused to give them. But they gave them to my neighbor without problem electronically. I just would like to know if I can explain why the Building and Zoning Department gives preferential treatment to the University of the taxpaying citizens, or if I'm just being singled out. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Commissioner Harrison.
Yeah. Thank you for being here, and I'm sorry you didn't get the information that you had requested. I had a question. Have you been told if there's a specific reason why this facility cannot be where the porta potties are? Has there been any conversations about that?
The university had a meeting today, that we tried to get a meeting with them, and they gave us notification at the last minute. So no, I haven't been able to ask them that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you. I'm sorry that it's been a harder process than you would have liked. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Commissioner Braun.
Can you hear me? I'll speak loud. Can you hear me? I'm going to type it in. I'll type it in.
Type it in. Thank you. Thank you, Janine.
She's asking, what is the path people take from the parking lot to where they watch or play?
They come in the Round Hill entrance right by across the street from the president's house. That parking lot, they either park there and walk across the grass, or they go to the, sometimes they'll park up on the former Dolan School, Business School, and walk down the hill.
Anything further, Commissioner Braun?
Yes, I'm typing one.
Thank you.
I think this is probably for the university. It's, is there any reason that the restroom can't remain where the porta potties are now?
Well,
that's my question for.
That's what I asked that as well.
You're asking me if there's any reason why it can't be there?
You know, or.
I see there's no reason why they can't put it there. It's, it doesn't devalue the president's house since it's not he doesn't own it. So it's Fairfield U property. If they believe that this is beautiful, they can put it right there, and it's flat land. It's near the parking lot. It's easy to get vehicles there to clean it. It would be much safer for any spectator to go over there. They're not walking across a field where they might get hit by a ball or hit by somebody that runs off the field.
Thank you.
All set, Commissioner Braun?
Yes, thank you.
Further? Thank you for your time. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. I'm Susan Bannock. I am a resident at 374 Barlow Road, which is on the corner of Barlow and Round Hill. and I'm not nearly as prepared. And I showed up here really to learn a little bit more about how my neighbors were feeling about what was happening, as well as learning what the intentions were of the university. As a resident on that very busy corner, I knew when I bought that property that I would be impacted by the field as well as the traffic and potential parking. And I accepted that as part of my ownership of the property. It was also part of how I was able to convince my spouse at the time that it was a good value. We were getting a good price for our property because it had these objections that others may not accept. And that's my career as well as in real estate as a developer in the area. I refurbished that 1780s home on that corner of Barlow and Round Hill that I now live in, as opposed to taking it down. So I care very much about real estate. I care very much about the integrity of our town. I care very much about retaining what is, while at the same time balancing out what the needs are of the community and the next users of properties. My concern as I'm listening to these stories and the anecdotes, which are very different than what we see on paper. As a developer, I see what I have to put on paper. I've been through every town department, both here, Westport, and in Greenwich through my development projects. And I understand that there are regulations that need to be presented, and how when it's presented very clearly and squarely on paper, it's easy to make an argument in the favor of how all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. But when the reality is slightly different, because we hear anecdotally what is actually happening, I think there needs to be a large consideration given to that. And I'm speaking about that also from a real estate value perspective. I care very much about the value of my own home. What my neighbor's home sells for will impact what my home sells for. When I'm showing homes to buyers all day long, or I'm preparing sellers to ready their homes to market, we have to talk about, well, what are the objections of your property to that wider buying audience? And if you have a flooding issue on your property, that's going to deter a buyer. I have many buyers that I work with on a daily basis that the first question they ask is there a water problem here? So I do believe that addressing any water issues before new work is done on the property is truly one of the most important elements of what I'm hearing. The other factor to, again, keep in keeping with property values is views, right? People call them $1 million views for a reason. People are willing to pay more for a home that has a beautiful view. Conversely, they're willing to pay less when their view is unsightly. If Brenda's home sells for less, then her neighbor's home will sell for less, and it sets that standard of a lower property value, which I don't think Fairfield wants to see, because the taxes that we pay come from the valuations of our properties. So we want to keep strong property values. Hearing Sue speak about the placement, and since the university owns the president's home, that to me is also a beautiful solution, because they can get the size of the comfort facility that they're looking for, provide the comfort for one of those randos. Admittedly, I use that field myself. That's where I would go and work out when I used to do that. And I also would have been one of those moms that said, really, this is what I have to use? So I would appreciate a comfort station if I were one of those moms, but they're not there every day, all day, like we are as the residents. And I think that the weight needs to be given to those that are paying the taxes. So if the university owns that property, and having the comfort station across in the view of the president's home isn't going to devalue that property, because it's not going to transfer and show as a lower value. I love that as a solution. I just think that that's an easy fix to what could be otherwise a challenging remedy that impacts us as a community, especially those that have the flooding issues and the unsightly appearance of porta potties. I think those were, the one other thing that I heard that really stuck with me was, if they're putting the structure in the proposed location, this is kind of piggybacking on where Sue was going, or something that she had said around the safety. being on that field, if I had to run across the field to the porta potty, that's not a far run. That's not a challenging location for the players or the spectators. It's a more convenient location. It's probably why those porta potties are there right now. The idea of a spectator having to come down the hill and potentially get hit by a player because it's in the runoff section, that to me alone feels like a good enough reason to reconsider the location of this. And with the balls, I mean, they're in my yard all day long. They have knocked out the teeth of my dog, not from them coming across the field into their face, but because we use those balls now because they're in my yard. And there are dozens of them on a weekly basis that make their way in there. But I don't know how that, I don't feel that that is an issue that's connected to this structure. But the field impacts us on a daily basis in a variety of ways. And I think the voices of the residents surrounding the field really need to be heard and considered, whether or not the drawings on the paper look like they satisfy the regulations and drainage issues that may have occurred. I think hearing the stories and watching the videos and knowing that it matters and these voices matter, and I hope that they're given the consideration that they deserve.
Anything further?
I actually haven't looked out my windows to see, because since the day I moved in, have had window coverings on all of my windows that face the field. So I bet I can see it too, but I'm not sure that I do because I don't look. I keep it blocked for that reason, for my own privacy, as well as not wanting to see something that's unsightly. But I don't think anybody should have to be forced to cover their windows in order to solve that problem. I think that's all.
Commissioner Braun, did you have a question? You're on mute.
Yeah, I had a question. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Commissioner Braun, is it something you can type in?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, you're heard now, okay? I can hear you without that thing.
Okay, someone in the chat said that the little square lot to the right, which would be kind of like below where these restrooms would be, to the right of the field, that used to be a tennis court. Has anyone mentioned that that could be in the future plans for development of why we want the restroom? I'm trying to figure out why the restroom is being moved from where it is now down there, where it's so close to the field, farther from where people would be walking from their cars, and farther from where spectators would be. But is there any plans you've heard about where we want to put that square little field there that's down by Barlow Road?
Did you hear that?
Have you heard of any plans of putting a tennis court in the Barlow field?
Where the location of the tennis court was, are there plans to develop anything there? Is there a reason why it couldn't be located down there?
We'll ask the applicant as well.
Yeah, it would be self-visible.
Commissioner Braun, well, the answer is she's not sure, but that's something for the applicant we can ask.
Thank you.
All set, Commissioner Braun?
Yes, thank you.
Anything further? Thank you. Come on up, yep. First come, first serve.
Good evening, members of the commission and staff. My name is John Amar, and I live at 305 Barlow Road in Fairfield. I've lived in Fairfield since 1996 and here since 2000. My home is directly across the street from FU's Barlow Field and, as proposed, directly across the street from the bathrooms and storage facilities. My wife, Brenda Catugno, has already provided details and testimony covering many aspects of our opposition. Thank you, Brenda. Here are my additions. I am opposed to this special application by FU for the following reasons. The size and scope of the proposed two buildings, sidewalks, and restraining of the hillside is far too big for this field located in our residential area. Double A. The restrooms building alone is as big as the on-campus restroom located within and servicing several athletic fields at the same time. Those locations where most of any spectators sit or stand to watch the field. I know this, you can prove it. Tomorrow there's a game at 4 o'clock for, I think it's Prep JV lacrosse. Go check it out, see where people hang out. It will compact the area of spectators in front of and to the sides and increase the risk of injury by out-of-bounds large young men and flying footballs, soccer balls, rugby balls, and extremely dangerous lacrosse balls. The proposed buildings are the furthest distance from emergency or security access to the field. The addition of these buildings will encourage off-hour and nighttime use, regardless of lighting, further disrupting our neighborhood and right to peace in our homes. The far better location and setup would be a smaller restroom building at the northwest end of Barlow Field in front of the president's home. The needed utilities are already there and closer on Round Hill Road. That location takes people, players, spectators away from the field of play, thus much safer. That location is immediately accessible by emergency security if when needed. However, the biggest reason I oppose this application is that it's premature due to the ongoing flooding issues with the Barlow Road neighbors and my home in particular. FU and the town must first work together to remedy the flooding before adding anything, including this. FU and the town have begun to discuss and collaborate on a remedy. The university will claim that they have already worked with the town and fixed the issue. This is false. They will claim that their hired engineers determined the appropriate drainage needed for this proposal, originally on January 12th or the 22nd, 2024. They were wrong. And when town engineering pointed out their bad math, they adjusted and resubmitted on February 8th. How are we going to trust the engineers? This revised approach only takes into account the new construction, not the existing flooding that is yet to be fully and satisfactorily addressed. New construction would add to the already unacceptable flooding. The town TPW has capped the existing drainage pipe that FU claims they blocked off previously to help reduce flooding to our home. Now water runs out and over a storm grate hidden under the green giants, and a leak in the bulkhead continues to pour into the north side catch basin. Heavy rain, you can see it. This catch basin fills the south side basin on our side, which then can easily breach and flood our property again. Where does the water come from and where will it go? On that basis alone, until potential flooding is addressed, this application should be denied. Now, in particular, what changed in the last submission from 4 catch basins to 7, when there were 4, the drainage went right into the storm drain. Now it doesn't. Now it marks, there's a black dot that says Nyloplast inline drain with ductile iron grate or approved equal GR 55.0, INVIN 51.8. Drain is to be a high-level overflow for the underground detention system, grade sites such that stormwater surface runoff is not directed to drain grate. Okay, where does it go? Where's the water going to go? Water's going to come down. It's going to have to go out somewhere, and it rolls all towards Barlow Road and into my house. Until that's resolved, you can't go forward with this. Right. Well, and if you're curious, I actually have a picture of what I'm talking about. I can show you. I don't know if you're up.
If there's something you wish to submit to the record, even if we can't watch it and see it today,
okay,
you can email it to tpzcommission@fairfieldct.org. It's on that agenda. Sorry.
It's just like Yeah, as said, August 2023 is the last time we had the breach and the flow, and pictures of my flooded pool. Right. But I also have a picture of where the water, now that it's bulkheaded, it's when it breaches the current system. So water has not been stopped. You know, happy to work with the university to fix it, right? And the town to fix it, but you can't build this and add to the mess until that's resolved. That's all I got to say. So thank you for your consideration. Any questions?
Commissioner Braun, you're on mute.
Can you hear me, sir?
I'll try, Kathy.
Can you type it in, Kathy?
Yeah.
She did ask earlier too if you can leave the, whatever plan it is that you're showing, to submit it to the office.
What are you referencing? What's
That is the current drainage.
This is the current latest plan. So, I'm referring to.
What's on the bottom right? What's the typo? Bottom right?
Bottom right, what you're looking for, the date?
Or the plan type?
It's the last plan sheet that's in the record.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kathy asks, is the field artificial turf? And if so, has anyone analyzed the water OS, if it has plastic particles in it?
It is artificial turf, and I don't know what it's manufactured out of.
And then question 2, she only sees 2 catch basins in the area of 305 Barlow, I think she means.
Yes, there is a catch basin on the south side of Barlow Road, which is our front yard, right to the east of our driveway. Directly across Barlow Road on the north side is another catch basin, and that's the main east-west drain down to the corner of Round Hill from the Barlow Road entrance. I think that's where the cutoff is, to the east of Barlow Road entrance to the university. That goes draining down to North Benson. So that drain on the north side is fed from Barlow Field, and the basin on the south side is just for the south side Barlow Road drainage from rainwater, and that feeds into the north side basin. If the north side basin gets overwhelmed, it doesn't feed, it goes the other way, and that's where it floods. One way it can flood. I've also seen the water breach the middle of Barlow Road from the north side in a couple of instances of severe flooding.
Kathy's asking a follow-up question. Can you explain what type of storm event causes the catch basin to overflow and how often?
So typically it is heavy rain, very heavy rain. The worst is when it's high density rain over a short period of time. Everything's get overwhelmed, but it also happens over an extended period of time, hours, where the system just gets overwhelmed over that amount of time. So either an inundation, if you will, or a heavy rain over a period of time.
She also says she's saw a river running down near the house in the video. Where was that coming from?
That water was from the Barlow Road breaching from flooding from the north side of Barlow Road, which, in my opinion, is from the university, Barlow Field.
Kathy, anything else?
I had a question.
Let me just make sure, Commissioner Braun is good.
One last one I put in there.
He's asking whether this occurred before the turf was installed.
Never. Since I've lived there.
Commissioner Braun, can I go to Commissioner
I
Harrison?
didn't hear what he said. Did he give an answer to that?
He did not, there's been, since he's lived there, he's had no previous issues.
So,
Can I go to Commissioner Braun? Excuse me,
Yeah,
can I,
I'm
Commissioner
confused.
Braun, can I go to Commissioner Harrison?
thanks.
Okay.
That's a yes. Commissioner Harrison, go ahead.
Thank you for being here. I just had a question. We had a lot of rain, I think about a month or so ago. Did you have any residual issues because of that rain?
We did not have any breaches up the driveway. As far as I know, we're opening the pool on May 23rd, so if there is something, I'll know then. But I do have video of the hidden, not on the plans, grate overflowing and running over the sidewalk into the north catch basin on Barlow Road. I have video of that.
Okay, thank you. And then just one more question. If this,
Submitted it today, the video.
Thank you. Go ahead,
Okay.
Commissioner Harrison.
yeah, just one more question. Sorry. Would you, if this project was brought down in scale, would that be something that you and your neighbor, or I know you can't speak for your neighbors, that you would be maybe amenable to? If this was scaled down, perhaps?
It's related, Commissioner Harrison. I think if personally, if it can be, the comfort station can be smaller and moved to the Round Hill location across from the Fairfield University President's residence, that I would prefer that. But that doesn't absolve my concern of the continued flooding. And representatives from Fairfield University and the town, and we are working on that, on trying to figure it out and remedy it. Until that's resolved, I can't imagine adding to the mix. And that's why I'm asking either, to deny or to postpone or agree that it's premature to approve this based upon the
Can you
issues.
remind us where the president's address is again? Anybody?
Well, he's next to me. I'm 555 Round Hill Road. He owns the two properties right across, he's on Round Hill and Winton Road, that corner, right across from the townhouses. There's a.
Thank you.
Right there.
No, that's fine, thank you. Sorry.
And were you finished with your answer? I'm sorry.
Yes, I was.
Okay, great. Thank you again.
Anything further, sir? I think we went everybody in person. Is there anybody that's joining us remotely? I gotta see how the quality is.
We have, first speaker is Liz Franco.
Mr. Franco, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So good evening. My name is Liz Franco. My husband, Jeff, and I, we live at 291 Barlow Road. And we share many of the concerns already expressed. And we just want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity and space to be heard. So as we stated in a letter back in February, our home is directly across from the proposed location of the new facility. We also live at the point of Barlow Road where the tall arborvitae line ends. And there are currently no tall trees blocking our view of the proposed comfort station. It will be clearly visible from 6 out of the 8 rooms on both levels of our home. And I'd gladly submit photos to support that statement. And we continue to question why a bathroom and a storage unit would be built all the way across the field instead of adjacent to the parking lot, which is far more accessible for anyone coming on or off the field. And as explained, this is where the current porta potties are, and it seems far more practical to keep the bathrooms on the Round Hill roadside to avoid all the additional digging required if placed on the Barlow roadside and furthering flood risks. Nothing about placing a bathroom in front of our home is an attractive option, as was stated earlier. And it would seem to me, with all due respect, that an athlete shouldn't have very much trouble getting to a bathroom on the northwest side of the field. Additionally, the windows of our home directly face the worst stretch of fencing. The brand new iron gate prematurely ends, and then the old mangled chain link fence was left as is to fill the gap. It looks sloppy, and there was a statement made about safety in regards to this plan, but what's been really concerning to us is the fact that we watch kids jumping over the fence all day long. I've personally witnessed multiple falls, one that required my husband to run out and check on a student who had landed on his back. And at minimum, this has been an eyesore, and at its worst, it could be an irreversible injury. I've asked for the new iron fence to be extended past the tree line so that this popular fence jumping shortcut onto the field and now potentially to a bathroom will be prevented. I could go on and I could talk about the constant use of the field or the number of lacrosse balls that hit our house on a daily basis into the front yard where our children play. I could talk about litter that blows off the field and onto our property. And most recently, all the tenting that teams have been putting up directly in our sightline. But it all boils down to the fact that this project does in fact suggest increased use of the field, which will only exacerbate these problems. We're urging a re-examination of the plans that will consider our residential community. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you have anything to submit to the record, please do so.
Next, we have Betsy Lewis Lockhart.
Ms. Lockhart? Oh, wait a minute. Commissioner Braun?
Sorry.
Hold on one second. Commissioner Braun, did you have a question?
Okay.
Did you want that, can she describe tenting? Is that for Ms. Franco?
That's for the woman who just spoke, yeah.
Yeah.
Tempting.
They're the tall 10-foot portable pop-up sports tents.
They're used for.
When is that used?
They're used for shelter, shade. You see them at farmers markets.
But they're used for spectators or for.
It's unclear who is using them. It seemed to me like almost a huddle point for teams. They were practicing one day out in the rain. It was a really windy day. The tent was blowing against the fence. It looked like it was going to come right onto Barlow Road.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, so we have Ms. Lockhart, is it?
Yes. Hi.
Can
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Ms. Lockhart. If you just give us your address,
Okay.
please.
Sure. I'm at 115 Barlow. And
Say
so
that again,
I am not 115 Barlow.
I'm getting close.
So
Thank you.
I am I am farther down the block. I am diagonal. I'm on the corner of Noyes and Barlow, diagonal from the 200 Barlow entrance. So I am across from the Faber Hall, the new dorm that's built behind Faber Hall.
Can you just speak up a little bit and get closer to your microphone?
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh, it's in my headset. So sorry, I'll just talk really loud. First of all, thank you all for listening to my neighbors of what they personally are going through. I'm not directly affected by this, but I sort of learned some lessons from the Faber Hall, the new dorm. So I really felt like I wanted to support my neighbors. And, you know, we walk that way with the dogs. So really just want to point out a few things. I would love it if the commission, if you all go take a look at the field, because I think it's really hard to get a scope of what is flat and what is elevated. If you were to stand on Round Hill Road and look over, you can see very clearly where the flat areas are, and where this proposed station is elevated. And I question obviously there's the flat area that is, as we keep saying, and Attorney Fallon, all due respect, avoided pointing out that it's across from the university president's home. That's where the porta potties are. That's where the entrance, that's where the parking is. If you look on Google Earth, you can see the clear path that people use to walk down there. It's pretty worn out. That is the flattest spot. Everything else is a hill. I mean, this is kind of etched in there, and there was no reference to excavation, not just for there's the excavation for the comfort center, but if looking at their plan and having to zoom in, there was no mention of what kind of excavation and tree removal to have a ramp come down, because they expect that a ADA accessible person would park up the hill, up at the top, way at the top where the old business school was. And they have a plan for a very extensive ramp that has to wrap around because it is so steep. They're going to have to excavate that hill, it appears. And there was no mention of this, and no one on the commission asked about it. But I'm really curious, how much excavation are they going to have to do? And was there really an ADA compliance assessment? That the logical place that someone with a need would park, first of all, and where they would watch a game? You would think logically that they would park at the level, very flat level area that is on the Round Hill Road side. So I think the consensus for folks is that spot, that's the Coughlin Road. As soon as you pull in, there's parking, it's flat, there's a direct access to the field itself. My concern is that they keep excavating the property, and where's all that, where's all the green space? I mean, there are going to be more trees that I assume are going to have to come down to put in a ramp. So, assessing where everybody parks and where everybody views. We one day tried to get a walk across, and you either have to go up a hill or you have to cut across the field to get to the comfort station, which does not seem to make logical sense. So yeah, I mean, really the walkability is just a huge thing where it doesn't seem to make sense. So sorry if I'm repetitive. I know a lot of folks have already spoken. The safety and security of the bathrooms, I guess they've got, they've got another field where they have the bathrooms. There is some strange behavior that goes on that, there are times that we call the university to tell them what's happening. There's times we don't call the university to tell them what's happening. And, I worry for the safety of students who might be using those facilities on off hours. If other groups are using it, just making sure that it is secured, because, I don't want to go into the things that I've seen and heard that happen, but just security for young men and women, that if there's access to those bathrooms late at night, or who knows when they close them up. So the scope of the project seems like that's a big concern in terms of the size of what they're looking to do. It just seems like it's out of range of what they claim the use of the field is. And I'm a little concerned that they started out saying that it was truly for scrimmages and practices for two prep sports, and then it evolved into games, and then a letter of endorsement from a youth league, which was not part of the proposal at all. It just seems like that there's something bigger in the plan. Commissioner Braun, the reference to the land that was a tennis court, that is actually on the Barlow side, and it is, I think it's in front of the Franco's house. That used to be a tennis court, and so I wonder, not that they could use that for the comfort station by any means, but if the comfort station was there, would they then be looking to develop that back into a tennis court or paddleball court to give even more noise to folks? It just seems like the scope is that they want to do more with this, and we're just getting a small piece of it. The water issue is, I feel horrible about when the Faber Hall discussions were going on, and I told the commission that we didn't have a water problem down at my house at 115 Barlow. And I submitted something today with some photos that I really assumed that the commission looked at what they were going to do with water with the new Faber Hall dorm. And they built in a drainage pipe under the parking lot, and they are now openly flooding a wooded area between Faber Hall and Barlow Road. It is, and that was never an issue before, but they put another turf field on North Benson Road. They put a new dorm in Faber Hall, and now all of a sudden there's a lot of water. And already, the photos that I've submitted, you can see that they put up some silt fence, but the water's breached all of that. So there seems to be a bigger water issue, and obviously at the end that my neighbors have talked about, but I just wonder, what's the town doing to ensure overall that the university is properly managing their stormwater campus-wide, because they so dramatically reduce the green space every single year with dorm after dorm and townhouse. So where is all of that water going? Where's all of the wildlife going? The wildlife is being pushed out for sure, and the green space and it just seems like there's been a lot of change going on over there, which is great for them. More power to them that they're expanding, but are we managing that water? And is it being monitored? So Faber Hall gets a new dorm, and they're in follow-up. Sure, okay, what is that impact going to be? They put in another turf field. What's that impact going to be as a collective?
That's all I can mandate.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, who's the? Commissioner Harrison, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for lending your voice tonight. I just had a question. When you've alerted the university about some unruly behavior by the athletes, obviously they can't, referee everything, so to speak, but are they responsive, or do they do anything to help mitigate the issue?
So I don't get the athletes.
Okay.
I get the Faber Hall student who is in my driveway smoking a bong on a Sunday afternoon. So, he'd be happy to have somewhere else to smoke his bong, not, it's in a bathroom, quite honestly. So I'm not getting the athlete issue. So, one of my neighbors can speak to that. But the public safety is responsive when I do call for different things. There was a blood curdling scream from a young woman in the middle of the night, and they sent someone out immediately to go check and see if there was an issue. I don't call about everything. It's just, but public safety, who is, I think a bunch of us probably have them on our speed dial. But we don't call, I don't call for drugs in my yard. I don't call for beer bottles or White Claw cans or public urination, I just.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Lewis.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Commissioner Braun?
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can.
Can you clarify? You mentioned something about a drain pipe. I didn't know if you were talking about Faber Hall or about the turf field that was constructed, that a pipe was put in and it caused what could you explain that a little better? I couldn't really hear it.
Sure. So I sent some photos over this afternoon.
I didn't get them. Did you email them to us?
I sent them to the main email. It was later in the afternoon.
I don't have them.
So yeah, it would have come late. So my apologies for that. So it looked like when they built the new Faber Hall dorm, that at that point they dug a trench through that parking lot and they excavated it. That I have a photo of what it looked like in 2018, and it was wooded and grassy. And they excavated and they put in a very pretty stone wall that has two drain pipes coming through, and they put some lovely shrubs around it. And then they put hay and a silt fence. And pretty soon after they finished it, it flooded and some of those shrubs fell down and they fixed it. But if you can see at the photos, that there's been a lot of water that has come through there, and you can see that the trees, that there's a lot of water in that area, which if you look at the fine detail of some of the proposals, it did say that area had been considered wetlands. But I just questioned, is the town okay with university actively flooding the wetlands, actively funneling water that way, where there didn't seem like there had been, based on the shrubs that were there. But now there's fresh water coming there, and I don't know exactly where the pipes come from. But at the same time, keep in mind that the university switched the rugby field, the grass rugby field, from North Benson, which is along that corridor of, near my house, that between basically from the main entrance to North Benson, in that area. If you go straight up the hill, that's where the rugby field was. And that is now turf. That just got put in the same time as the new Faber Hall. So,
okay, I have a quick follow-up. I did not. I don't think I got your material. Maybe it was just late to get to us, but you might want to resubmit it, because I just looked at my emails. I didn't see anything. But was there a youth league letter that you got? I didn't get that either. Is that something you sent in to us?
Commissioner Braun, that was the letter that Attorney Fallon read to us during the initial presentation from the youth.
Okay. And I have a question just to follow up from what the neighbor said for Attorney Fallon when he speaks. Do we excavation permit for the work that's being done? Is there excavation involved?
Is there an excavation?
We can ask that of the applicant, right?
Right.
Okay.
yeah, I bring it up because I cannot imagine, looking at that hill, that someone who is in a wheelchair or a walker can even access that comfort station without this long, it winds around because it can't be straight down because it's a steep hill. So they've got to cut into the hill to put in a path.
I assume they're going to say that those people would park on the other parking lot that's nearby where the comfort station. There's another parking lot, but
no, that's the one. That is they will need to excavate that. They will need to put in a long pathway. If someone parks up at the top of the hill at the Dolan parking lot, to get to the comfort station, there is an incline there. So looking
That's
at
the
it,
other
it's
parking
a
lot.
hill.
There's another parking
Well,
lot that's kind of like,
that's where all the neighbors are proposing it, because it is flat there.
yeah. Okay.
It's completely flat. If you are going the Coughlin entrance, it's a flat, straight shot to the field.
Okay, thank you.
So I know that Brenda had referenced that she called to find out where emergency services would want to access the field, and they'd want that flat space as well.
Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more.
I think we're all set. Thank you, Ms. Lockhart.
We have one more speaker, Marco Pinzon.
Mr. Pinzon, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you speak up or get closer to your microphone, please?
Hold on. I have headphones on. Let me speak louder. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine.
You can hear me fine?
Can we put this up a little higher?
If you want, I'll shout.
Let me see.
I
It's a little
think,
louder, y'all.
all right, please let me know if at any point you can't hear me or if it breaks up, because I want to make sure that you do hear everything. My name is Marco Pinzon. My wife Sue spoke earlier. I live at 555 Round Hill Road, directly across the street from and directly in front of the site that's proposed for this, which we've now determined is a very large public bathroom and storage facility that's being proposed by the university. I have some prepared remarks here, and I'm going to cut them down because there's going to be a lot of overlap, so bear with me in how I try to go through that. But before I go to my prepared remarks, I want to address some of the comments that were made by Attorney Fallon in his prepared remarks. And to be honest with you, I was really taken back by this. And
all right, I mean,
hello?
And I can't hear these people.
Okay.
I think we need to stop it.
I can't hear.
All right, this is okay. I think we've gone as far as we
Do you
can.
want me to try another? I'll try it on my phone.
Hold on, Mr. Pinzon.
You can try on my
There are two
phone.
people speaking at once.
I understand. Mr. Pinzon, give me a second, please. We've been having difficulties all night with our tech issues. I think we've gotten to a point where I think we've kind of gone as far as we can. That's not to say that you're being cut off. Well, you're being cut off this evening, I think, because we're having trouble hearing you. What I'm going to do is keep the hearing open, keep public comment open, so that our next meeting in 2 weeks from now, we can reconvene, and either the tech issues will be resolved, or if you're able to come in, that's great. The other thing any member of the public can do is submit written comments, which we do read. But I think we've gotten to the point where it's the tech issues have gone too far for us. So I apologize for you being kind of caught in the crosshair in this moment, but we're having difficulty hearing you, and I suspect you want to be heard. So
Want to be heard? Yes, correct.
I can't hear if he's.
He said yes, he would like to be heard.
Okay, that's what I figured. Yeah. Okay. So I do apologize that you're there, but we're gonna adjourn the hearing tonight. We will leave public comment open.
Can you hear me now? Is it better now?
It's not. Yes and no.
Because I just moved I just moved something, and I'm just wondering if it's a lot better now.
I can hear him fine.
We've been having, I think I'm not surprised. I think Commissioner Braun and Harrison, you've been hearing them better. We've had issues all day with even we heard everything from the last member of the public, but even that was strenuous, I think, for all of us in the room.
Fair
enough. I think it's best that we stop here, reconvene in 2 weeks from today, right, Mr. Wentz?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do, if it's okay, is I have I've submitted so far a photo, and I sent that to you.
I can hear you but anything you or any other member of the public wishes to submit to the record are still able to do so. please do so with that email address, it's on the agenda, tpzcommission@fairfieldct.org. People have mentioned that, members of the public and even the applicant, have mentioned that they have videos and photos. I urge you, if you haven't already done so, to submit everything to the record for us to consider. If anybody wishes to submit written statements, either anybody, we will accept those. And then the next hearing, we will start off with continuation of public comments, and then we'll go to rebuttal.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, I
That's fine.
appreciate it. We're not losing too much time anyway, because I'm going to need some
No, I have,
time for rebuttal.
I had a feeling you were not going to get to rebuttal tonight anyways, so I don't think that's any harm in respect that we're coming back in 2 weeks anyways.
Thank you for your patience.
Excuse me, can I ask a question?
Public comment open in case there's any other issues is worthwhile.
I
So
have
with
one
that,
question.
that was our last, well, that will be our last item tonight. We won't get to the next item.
New PMCD?
Yeah, 10 minutes ago, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your
Thank you.
efforts and time circumstances.
I will adjourn the meeting. We will keep open public comments. The hearing is being continued. I will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.